The Emperor of Work begins with Conan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226. Do you understand the value of the flower of the Metropolitan Police Department? BIUN. An aesthetic needle shot at the kidnapper's face at lightning speed. According to the location of the hit, Toyama Tobi's anesthetic needle should be classified as Tobi's. When Toyama Tobi was a child in his previous life, he just came into contact with Detective Conan and did not have a deep understanding of Conan's watch-shaped anesthetic gun. At that time, when the teacher was late, he just wanted to give the teacher on the podium an injection to let him have a good rest. However, as Toyama Tobi grew up and his knowledge gradually broadened, and most importantly, after the novel website began to have more doctor articles, he really realized how outrageous the anesthetic needle made by Dr. Agasa was. This outrageous degree is enough to make anesthesiologists shout anesthesia no longer exists. It was not until Toyama Tobi personally experienced Dr. Agasa's epoch-making invention that he was shocked by the value of the science invented by Dr. Agasa. It's really science. Putting away the pen that he needs to carry with him as an agent, Toyama Tobi looked at Nagano Shiina, who was still in shock. Nagano Shiina had just experienced a not so wonderful kidnapping, and it was hard to confirm the identity and intentions of Toyama Tobi for a while. In addition, the tone of Toyama Tobi's words when talking to the kidnapper just now, it was really hard to hear any goodwill towards him. So Nagano Shiina chose to remain silent. Toyama Tobi didn't say much to the big star. After Nagano Shiina confirmed that the kidnapper was in a coma, he picked up his phone and found Sato Miwako's number and called. "Officer Sato, I'm in the park near the Tokyo Budokan and encountered a kidnapping case. The two kidnappers in the kidnapping case have been subdued by me, but the identity of the kidnapped person in their hands is more troublesome. The kidnapped person is Nagano Shiina, the keyboard player of the two mix group who will hold a concert in the Tokyo Budokan. How about you come over?" Hearing Toyama Tobi's words, Sato Miwako subconsciously made a sharp explosion in the office. A star who was about to hold a concert was kidnapped! Exclamation mark. If this kind of thing is reported, the police officer in charge of holding the press conference tomorrow will definitely break his waist. This kidnapper is really just about to run to the Metropolitan Police Department building and point his finger at them and scold them for being incompetent. As expected, Toyama Tobi never disappoints. "Send me the specific address, and I will take people there immediately," Sato Miwako immediately said to Toyama Tobi, and with a greeting, she took away many detectives from the office. After contacting Sato, Toyama Tobi called Mizuna Shirina again and asked her to bring Miyahara Satoshi from the forest to the roadside. After everything was arranged, Toyama Tobi untied Nagano Shiina in the car. Toyama Tobi didn't have the hobby of chasing stars, but he felt embarrassed because Nagano Shiina was staring at him in the car. If the person being kidnapped was a beautiful girl, Toyama Tobi might be willing to offer his solid and reliable chest to let her vent. But the person being tied up here is a man. As a grown man, I'll untie you, and you can just find a place in the car to rest. Anyway, in Toyama Tobi, the difference between men and women is so obvious. Come on, we'll be there soon. Toyama Tobi half leaned on the door of the van to cheer for Mizuno Rina. Mizuno Rina held one of Miyahara Satoshi's legs and slowly dragged him out of the woods. The whole picture was horrifying, and with a little horror filter, the style turned to a horror movie on the spot. Mizuno Rina rolled her eyes at Toyama Tobi and strongly condemned his behavior of talking without doing anything. But who asked Toyama Tobi to bring her important information today? Mizuno Rina could only turn into a hard-working old ox and drag Miyahara Satoshi to the van. So how long will it take for the police to arrive? Mizuno Rina glanced at Nagano Shiina in the car and then retracted her gaze. The popular male stars nowadays are just so-so in the eyes of Mizuno Shirina. She can see stars every day on Nichimi TV, but stars don't have any mysterious aura for her. Nagano Shiina's appeal is not even as great as Miyano Akimi. We'll be there soon. Here they are. Toyama Tobi pointed to the corner of the street, where a red FD was driving violently towards them. Wow. are the detectives from the Metropolitan Police Department, so wild in their driving habits. Sato's driving skills gave Mizuna Shirina a little shock. The red FD did a beautiful tailspin and stopped steadily behind the van, and then Sato, who looked anxious, and Takagi, who looked pale, got off the FD. Toyama, where are the people? Toyama Tobi made way for Sato to see Miyahara Satoshi on the ground and his accomplice lying in the car. In addition, when he heard Sato's voice, Nagano Shiina also hurriedly showed up. He was in a period of lack of security and urgently needed comfort from the police. Toyama Tobi came to Takagi and teased him with a smile. You haven't adapted to Officer Sato's driving skills for such a long time. By the way, there are only 2 of you on duty this time. Takagi took several deep breaths, suppressed the feeling of nausea, and showed Toyama Tobi an ugly expression that seemed to be crying and laughing. I did adapt to it before, but Officer Sato's driving skills have improved again. As for the others, they have all been left behind by Officer Sato. Toyama Tobi patted Takagi on the shoulder to signal him to be strong. Officer Sato's driving skills did not improve again, but because of the urgency of the situation, the screaming witch in the fog nature was more liberated. Soon, along with Sato's comfort to Nagano Shiina, the large force of the 1st Investigation Division gradually arrived. Because the team was composed of the 1st Investigation Division, the people who came were basically all acquaintances of Toyama Tobi. Then Mizuna Shirina saw the next scene that made her dumbfounded. The detectives who came to the scene greeted Toyama Tobi with a smile. After understanding the situation at the scene, they found that Toyama Tobi had subdued the kidnapper and had not rescued the hostages, so they began to chat with Toyama Tobi standing next to him. Later, when other police officers arrived, they all ran over to greet Toyama Tobi when they saw him. This has nothing to do with Toyama Tobi's status, it is purely due to Toyama Tobi's personal charm. For example, when you are out, you see the noble person who gave you a promotion and a raise without asking for anything in return. Why don't you go up and say hello? Toyama Tobi's popularity in the Metropolitan Police Department is now infinitely close to that of Sato Miwako. What does he rely on? It's his generosity and magnanimity to give credit wherever he goes. Unlike detectives on the market, detectives always show off themselves wherever they go and then let the police become the background. Although they helped the police solve the case, the police were also used as a stepping stone to provide the detectives with a chance to advance. But Toyama Tobi is different. In this kidnapping case, the kidnappers and hostages are all ready, which is like feeding food directly into Sato's mouth. It may be a little short of saying that he is a great man, but to say that he is a noble man, no detective in the entire investigation division has any objection. Mizuna Shirina just watched Toyama Tobi greet each detective with ease, arrange supper, and arrange drinks on weekends. She was in a trance and had only one thought: Spiritus is so arrogant and entangled with the police. Isn't he afraid that Jin will suspect that he is an undercover? Chapter 227 Different time, same topic. Don't be afraid. What's so scary about that thing? Toyama Tobi said with a smile, and there was always a sense of taboo in his tone. I deal with the police because of the task assigned to me by Rum. I'm so familiar with the police now. Shouldn't he reward me for completing the task beyond my normal level? That's true, but don't you think you are a little too familiar with them? From the time they met until now, Toyama Tobi's image in Mizuno Rina's heart is not as cunning as an old man, but he is also the type who knows what's going on. What's more, Toyama Tobi is still a serious cadre of the organization, which is completely different from her beggar version. Although she doesn't know much about Toyama Tobi's past achievements, Mizuno Rina still instinctively feels that Toyama Tobi's relationship with the police is a little too good. Even if Rum lets you take the opportunity to get close to the police, he didn't let you become a non-staff member of the police. Mizuno Rina even feels that if the organization fires Toyama Tobi can directly connect to the Metropolitan Police Department seamlessly, and it has to be a formal employee with a regular staff. It is normal for Rina Mizunashi to think so. After all, although Toyama Tobi had done a lot of big things before, but these were all blamed on someone. In the East Arsenal incident, it was Vodka who took the blame for Toyama Tobi in the organization, and it was Conan who took the blame for Toyama Tobi in the Daikoku building incident. It was Jin who took the blame for Toyama Tobi in the Queen Ciceraba incident. Toyama Tobi's main selling point was that he was a man who had been through a lot of pots and had not been involved in any black things. Only when the cadres of the organization reached a certain status could they know the true face of Toyama Tobi. But whether it was Rina Mizunoshi or Toru Amuro, they were far from this level. Rina Mizunoshi's kind reminder instantly made Toyama Tobi realize that this was a good time to deepen his own personality. Have you heard of Tequila? Tequila. I know him, a veteran cadre of the organization, originally active in the Osaka area. But I heard that Tequila died during a mission. Rina Mizunoshi answered subconsciously. She didn't know why Toyama Tobi suddenly mentioned Tequila, but she still told the information she knew. Rina Mizunoshi had been working undercover at Nichimi TV and didn't have many opportunities to come into contact with other members of the organization. Knowing that Tequila was dead, she was already well informed. Yes, he was dead. To be more precise, he died in front of my eyes. Toyama Tobi sighed and told the story. I was Tequila's partner in that mission. It was actually a very simple intelligence trading mission, but unexpectedly something went wrong in the middle of the mission. The person we were trading with was targeted by a murderer, who replaced a whole box of bombs with the box we were supposed to get. When I found out about this, Tequila had already got the box. Because there were police officers at the scene, I couldn't contact Tequila directly, so I could only find a way to contact Jin. What happened next? Rina Mizunoshi subconsciously thought of the locator that was hidden on her body. Later, the bomb exploded. Tequila died in that mission. After saying this, Toyama Tobi laughed at himself and patted Mizuno Rina's shoulder. Sometimes I really envy you. If there is a choice, I would like you to change your situation with me. Isn't it good to be a mascot in the organization? At least you don't have to worry about when you will die in a mission in the future. Maybe you will die at the hands of your own people. At this moment, the tray of Takage's good guy kept flashing arcs on the character panel. A tray in the direction of favorability was used by Toyama Tobi as a persuasive skill. Although I don't understand why you are trying so hard to climb up, as a person who has been through it, I still have to advise you to remember to leave yourself a way out. So this is the way out you left for yourself? Mizuno Rina asked calmly, but she was quickly evaluating Toyama Tobi in her heart. What's the fallback of the Metropolitan Police Department? There might be undercover agents of the organization in the Metropolitan Police Department. Do you think the organization will only be undercovered and will not take the initiative to send undercover agents to other places? If we really want to talk about a fallback, it must be the level of the Public Security Bureau and the FBI to cover us. After a smile, Toyama Tobi adjusted his expression. Okay, the joke time is over. I guess I have to go to the Metropolitan Police Department with Officer Sato and others later. After the record is completed, it will be completely over. Toyama Tobi told Mizuno Rina about the follow-up arrangements with ease. Mizuno Rina nodded and silently digested Toyama Tobi's words just now. In the end, Toyama Tobi's words just now had a hint of sincerity, but Mizuno Rina was considering whether Toyama Tobi's words just now were really sincere or just a trap. At the beginning, she really believed the lies of other members of the organization and thought that the organization's probation period for her had passed, so she ran to meet her father. As a result, her father chose to sacrifice herself to save her. Now it seems that another similar choice is in front of her. Believe in Toyama Tobi and then try to bribe him or report everything to Data Rum. Rina Mizunoshi kept brainstorming, and in the end she chose not to believe Toyama Tobi, but she did not report the matter to Rum. The reason is actually very simple. In the final analysis, what Toyama Tobi said to her was just his one-sided statement. She did not have any evidence that Toyama Tobi was really ready to leave the organization. In other words, even if she reported Toyama Tobi to Rum, she would not be able to get promoted. In addition, she could clearly feel that Toyama Tobi and her position in the organization were completely different. The organization's trust in them was also very different. Reporting Toyama Tobi to Rum would not bring much benefit to Rina Mizunoshi's undercover work, and it might even make her antagonize Toyama Tobi. This is not conducive to her subsequent undercover work. As for trying to bribe and affect Toyama Tobi, this action is indeed in Rina Mizunashi's plan, but it cannot be carried out so directly. When spies know that they have to bribe certain people, they cannot bribe them so directly. You put the money in front of someone so directly, and any normal person would not agree to it immediately. This thing has to be carried out step by step, and quietly, until the other party maintains a corresponding tacit understanding with you, or when the other party is completely controlled and cannot withdraw. It is the best time to levy. And now, there is just such a good opportunity to tentatively infiltrate Toyama Tobi, Miyano Akimi. Because Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Rina saved Nagano Shiina of the 2 mix group, they got a chance to watch the live concert of this popular group for free. After watching the concert and taking notes, it was already late at night. In the dead of night, Mizuno Rina rarely contacted her superior and reported her current situation and the actions she was going to take next. Chapter 228. You only have 2 or 3 chances in life. When Rina Mizunoshi's superior heard that the organization was finally going to use Rina Mizunoshi, he immediately congratulated her. Rina Mizunoshi's current superior was once a colleague of Ethan Honda. In other words, he was also Rina Mizunoshi's elder. The original plan of their group was for Ethan Honda and Rina Mizunoshi's superior to work together as undercover agents in the black organization. Who would have thought that there would be a little accident, which eventually led to Ethan Honda's death. But the mission had to continue, and Ethan's partner eventually became Rina Mizunoshi's superior. It can be said that during the time when Rina Mizunoshi was a host at Nichimi TV, it was Ethan's partner who kept persuading Rina Mizunoshi to be patient. Patience, patience, and patience again. Now the CIA infiltration team that Rina Mizunoshi belongs to can be said to have finally seen the light. After congratulating Rina Mizunoshi on her significant progress in her undercover career, the infiltration team leader, Rina Mizunoshi's superior, began to concentrate on analyzing the intelligence that Rina Mizunoshi had told him. Everyone came from the CIA, and they all had an unspoken understanding to make trouble for the FBI. The only one who needed to be paid attention to was Toyama Tobi. According to the infiltration team leader, although Rina Mizunoshi's inquiries about Akimi Miyano were all indirect, but Toyama Tobi must have realized something, otherwise there wouldn't be such a heart-to-heart talk. The infiltration team leader thought that this should be Toyama Tobi testing Rina Mizunoshi. Those of them who were undercover would never underestimate any opponent, let alone an opponent who had just made the FBI suffer a great loss. Jin's daily undercover cleaning behavior put a thick filter on the organization. For a while, the infiltration team leader himself didn't have a good idea of how to contact Toyama Tobi. Sir, we must have in-depth contact with SYNOPSIS. He is the only source of information about Akimi Miyano that I can get from him. If we give up contacting SYNOPSIS, it means giving up the action of destroying the FBI. But in that case, we will be back to the situation of doing nothing. Infiltration and undercover work is a long-term job. Although the work is long-term, it does not mean that nothing will be gained during the period. There will also be corresponding competition between the CIA's infiltration teams. It is similar to the US intelligence budget. The CIA has so much money for infiltration. Who will get more, and who will get less among so many infiltration teams? It's very simple. The one who gets more useful intelligence will get more, and the one who gets less useful intelligence will get less. It's that simple and crude. Everything depends on performance. It has been 4 years since Rina Mizunoshi took over the undercover baton from Ethan Honda. In these 4 years, it cannot be said that nothing has been gained from the organization's intelligence. It can only be said that she really can't get any useful intelligence in her position. What's the use of the CIA's identity of several peripheral members of the black organization? These peripheral members are not taken seriously by the organization at all. According to some capitalists who should be hanged on street lamps, if you don't do it, there are plenty of people who will. Therefore, in the entire intelligence system of the Japanese CIA, Rina Mizuno's infiltration team has been marginalized after these years of booming. Now Rina Mizuno's undercover work has finally made some progress. Neither Rina Mizuno nor the infiltration team leader are willing to go back to the original situation. Therefore, the plan to disrupt the FBI's actions by disrupting Miyano Akima's actions must be implemented. That means that Toyama Tobi is a threshold they are destined to not be able to bypass. Hey, undercover work will never be smooth sailing, so do it according to your ideas, Ying Hei. But there is one thing, you must be cautious when negotiating with Toyama Tobi. From your description of him, that guy must not be a simple commodity. Don't leave any handles to be careful that he is fishing. As the leader of an infiltration team, he did his best and was worthy of his old friend who died in the line of duty. Many infiltration team leaders did not regard undercovers as human beings at all. As long as they could get the intelligence they needed, they didn't care about the life or death of the undercovers. To them, undercovers are consumables that can be used repeatedly, and it is not impossible to treat them as disposable items occasionally. He can lead the entire infiltration team and accompany Mizuno Rina to endure for 4 years. He can be regarded as a very kind boss. Don't worry, I will never make the same mistake again. Mizuno Rina took a deep breath. Whenever it was late at night, the night 4 years ago would constantly appear in front of Mizuno Rina. Whenever she closed her eyes, all she could see was the encouraging smile of her father when he died. Mizuno Rina knew that, as long as the black organization was not eradicated, her inner demon would not disappear. It was just a test. She, Hondao Ike, would never fail again. Due to the intervention of Toyama Tobi, the popular artist kidnapping incident that was supposed to be solved by the White Give group was solved without any waves. It was not until the next day that Conan learned that Toyama Tobi had caught a kidnapper in the restaurant and rescued the keyboard player of the 2 mix group. Conan finally understood why Mitsuhiko Tsuburaya was frightened by Toyama Tobi's eyes at that time. He had known for a long time that Toyama Tobi didn't like the 3 people in the freebie group. At that time, Mitsuhiko Tsuburaya almost shouted out Toyama Tobi's actions. It would be strange if Toyama Tobi gave Zyomar a good face. Of course, it was also good for Toyama Tobi to solve this incident before Conan. Not only did he get a VIP seat for a concert for free, he also deepened his character with Rina Mizunashi, and then he successfully escaped Conan's indiscriminate magic sound. You know, in the original work, Conan picked up the microphone and opened his mouth directly to the entire Tokyo Budokan. If he hadn't been interrupted in time, God knows whether the ambulances outside the concert would be enough. In the few days after the incident, Toyama Tobi accompanied Maori Kagoro on several commissions. The rest of the time was mostly used to build relationships with the detectives of the Metropolitan Police Department. Good brothers work overtime, and work endless overtime on weekdays, which is hard enough. Let them let themselves go after get off work. After this in-depth exchange, the relationship between Toyama Tobi and the police is getting better and better. Finally, a few days later, Toyama Tobi finally received an invitation from Mizunashi Rina to meet. The place where the two met was the same as the first time. It was at the main entrance of Nichimi TV station. The difference was that this time the meeting place was decided by Mizunashi Rina herself. In line with the principle of playing a full role, Toyama Tobi brought another bouquet of flowers. While waiting for Mizunashi Rina to get off work at the entrance of the TV station, he received a call from Kei Yoshitsugu. Kei, what's the matter? Toyama Tobi's men are very smart, especially Kei Yoshitsugu. Kei Yoshitsugu and Anoma Nyudo will never contact him when they have nothing to do on weekdays. Everyone plays their own games, and Toyama Tobi will gather them together when they are needed. Now Kei Yoshitsugu calls, which means that they probably have something to ask him. Chapter 229 Miyano, I'm not bad to you. Brother, Miyano Akimi contacted me just now. Kei Yoshitsugu knew Toyama Tobi's character very well, and he didn't mean to drag his feet and get straight to the point. Miyano Akimi contacted you? What did she want from you? Toyama Tobi, who had just received the dividends from Maori Kagoro yesterday, which was also an unexpected fortune, suddenly changed his face after hearing Kei Yoshitsugu's news. Miyano Akimi, I treat you well. It's like this, brother. Miyano called me last night, asking about bank robbery in both explicit and implicit ways. I was thinking if we have any big action, so I came to ask you. Yoshitsugu always said things that could be said without being explicit, and sometimes it's not nice to be too explicit, right? Originally, Toyama Tobi thought that Miyano Akemi was going to drag his only two men into the water, but now it seems that it's not the case. The task that Jin gave to Miyano Akemi was still the old-fashioned bank robbery, but the amount was this. It's hard to say. After doing two big jobs with Toyama Tobi, Miyano Akemi also had a lot of savings. It was not difficult to get a few hundred million. Jin gave Miyano Akemi the task in order to make her give up, rather than to let her spend money to avoid disaster. The amount was estimated to be more than 10 billion. According to Yoshitsugu, Miyano Akemi called him to ask about the tricks of bank robbery. If this thing is just a small robbery, there is no shortage of professional talents with experience in this area in the organization. And most of these talents are peripheral members of the organization. After all, the organization's quality requirements for internal members are not low. If you want to get promoted by robbing a bank, you have to rob at least 300 million, right? This resulted in the professional quality of those peripheral members not being able to satisfy Miyano Akemi. In the original work, Miyano Akemi might have to organize a group by herself and then practice while learning. In the end, she accidentally completed an amazing 10 billion yen robbery. But now, Miyano Akemi has a boss named Toyama Tobi and her colleagues who look very senior. Especially Yoshitsugu, this old coward, has maintained the level of peripheral members for so many years, sent off batches of colleagues one after another, and lived a very comfortable life. In martial arts novels, he must be a master who hides in the city. So Miyano Akemi started to consult Yoshitsugu in an unfamiliar way. Yoshitsugu was so smart that he understood Miyano Akemi's background in just a few words. While perfunctorily answering Miyano Akemi, he taught her some dry goods. He contacted Toyama Tobi. After hanging up the phone, Yoshitsugu could hear that Miyano Akemi was preparing to do private work. Although he didn't understand why Miyano Akemi wanted to do this, it didn't prevent him from talking to Toyama Tobi first. If you take the initiative to communicate with the leader, it means you have the leader in mind. When the leader finds out and asks you, it will be too late for you to say it. Otherwise, how can Yoshitsugu be a wise man? When the day comes, when the organization is really wiped out, it won't surprise Toyama Tobi that Yoshitsugu will be fine. Big brother, Miyano will have nothing to do with us in the future. If she asks you now, just teach her what you can. It's not in vain that we've been colleagues, understand? Toyama Tobi nodded at Yoshitsugu, and he understood instantly. I understand, big brother. Yoshitsugu understood it very well. He had many partners in the past, but there was basically no fixed partner. Why? That's because every time those peripheral members completed a few tasks and luckily survived, their greed would urge them to keep climbing up. Wanting to climb up means that they need to perform more difficult tasks. But those people don't have that ability. The promotion channels for members of the organization itself are similar to raising goo. Only the strongest one can overcome all obstacles and become a cadre of the organization. Unfortunately, most people in this world are ordinary people and don't have that kind of talent. If you force yourself to do tasks beyond your ability in the organization, you will die. Most of the peripheral members who partnered with Yoshitsugu would despise Yoshitsugu's lack of ambition and cautiousness. Of course, Yoshitsugu's caution is rare in the organization, and the organization originally recruited criminals. The peripheral members who were recruited by the organization would not have such survival wisdom. So those peripheral members who laughed at Yoshitsugu in the past all died in tasks beyond their capabilities without exception. Only Yoshitsugu is alive and well. Now it seems that Miyano Akemi seems to be similar to those peripheral members in the past. With the instructions of Toyama Tobi, Yoshitsugu also knows what he can do. It's no problem to pass on all his experience and knowledge to Miyano Akemi without reservation. But if he wants to do it himself, forget it. Of course, if Miyano Akemi really wanted him to rob a bank, Yoshitsugu would not call Toyama Tobi. Just block the phone and pretend not to know him. Lord Spiritus did not give any orders, so Yoshitsugu did not care whether Miyano Akemi had a background or secrets. Perhaps Miyano Akemi really had a hidden reason for doing private work this time. But Kyoshitsugu was not curious about this at all. The way an honest man survives in the organization is so simple and unpretentious. He does not ask about things that he should not know, and he is not curious either. Is there a mission from the organization? I just saw you were on the phone. Mizuna Shirina took the bouquet from Toyama Tobi and gave him a hug. After showing her affection in front of her colleagues, she got into the car and asked curiously. It's not the organization's mission, it's K. That old one. Mizuna Shirina did not say the rest of the words. The 3 words honest man are insults in the organization. That honest man. Toyama Tobi nodded. He knew that Kyoshitsugu wished that everyone in the world would think he was an honest man. Live like them like this kind of tune. Miyano Akemi contacted her hoping to get some guidance on bank robbery. Toyama Tobi casually said the information that Mizuno Rina wanted to know the most. Sojin's mission for Miyano Akemi is to rob a bank? Mizuno Rina exclaimed in her heart. This mission is really very mecha style. Hey. Toyama Tobi laughed gloatingly. It's not an ordinary bank robbery. I estimate that the amount Jin asked her to rob is at least 10 billion yen, and 10 billion may not be enough. Do you know what this means? This means that the cash in most banks in Mecha Town cannot meet the requirements of the mission. Mizuno Rina's eyes flashed with a hint of joy, and then it disappeared. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, Black Robbing Black, isn't that our old business? This is called, if you want to drink milk, your mother is here, and if you want your mother's family, your uncle is here. The amount of information in Toyama Tobi's unintentional sentence is not less at all. Miyano Akemi has already decided to rob a bank, and the amount of the robbery is not small. It stands to reason that there is always a thief who can do it for 1,000 days, but there is no thief who can guard against thieves for 1,000 days. Although it is known that Miyano Akemi is going to rob a lot, it is difficult to determine the time of her action. Then, this is about the timeliness of the organization's tasks. Generally speaking, except for the organization cadres, members of other levels will basically not be involved in such long-term tasks. When Mizuno Rina went to the Nami TV station, it was not a long-term nature. It was just that something happened later, and she was really doing well in the TV station, which made it what it is now. So Miyano Akemi's task deadline is actually very tight. In such a tight deadline, she has to deal with her accomplices, choose the target bank, go to the bank to check the location, and formulate an action plan. It can be said that there is really not much time left for Miyano Akemi. As for Mizuno Rina, she only needs to keep an eye on the major banks in Bika Town during this period and see which one will have more than 1 billion in cash. Low risk, quick results. Where can you find such a good thing? After getting the information she wanted from Toyama Tobi, Mizuno Rina had no idea of burning bridges after crossing the river. According to the original plan, the two went to the restaurant to have a meal openly and then found an izakaya to sit for a while. Finally, Toyama Tobi sent Mizuno Rina back to her apartment. Mizuno Rina would definitely not do such a thing as going forward when she needs someone and going backward when she doesn't. At least it won't happen to Toyama Tobi at present. After a series of normal dating processes, Toyama Tobi declined Mizuno Rina's insincere invitation to sit up. This is not that Toyama Tobi pretended to be Liuzahu, but if you want to have a good experience in this kind of thing, both parties must cooperate properly. Toyama Tobi didn't need to try to know that Mizuno Rina's mind was not on this at all. Anyway, there are still many days to come, and Toyama Tobi will have the opportunity to taste what is the sugar-coated bullet from capitalism sooner or later. For Toyama Tobi, where is the sugar-coated bullet? It was clearly a layer of sugar coating with chocolate kernels inside. After getting Akemi Miyano's next action plan, Rina Mizuno contacted her superiors again, and soon the infiltration team leader highly agreed with Rina Mizuno's plan. The people who went to various banks to monitor whether Akemi Miyano arrived could not be the organization's people. Fortunately, the CIA's infiltration team itself was not just 2 people. Although the infiltration team to which Rina Mizuno belonged had been gradually marginalized over the years, some funds could still be approved. The team had not had any major operations in the past 4 years, and the infiltration team leader, as a grassroots cadre of the CIA, had always been good at making false accounts. So it was not difficult for them to launch a large-scale operation. So under the operation of the infiltration team leader, people kept going to various banks to squat, and the intelligence would be summarized every day. The other people in the team were also full of energy. After 4 years of silence, they finally had work to do, and it was a big job. Their team leader said that, if this operation was done well, it would be unrealistic for their team to become a key infiltration team in Japan. After all, they were only infiltrating a transnational criminal organization. But it was no problem for them to become the backbone infiltration team in Tokyo, just by intercepting the FBI. It was a great achievement. By then, the difference between the funding and the resources that could be mobilized would be huge. Just when the CIA began to monitor Miyano Akimi's next action target, Miyano Akimi had already received all the knowledge from Kei Makoto. She had a basic understanding of large-scale bank robbery operations. As we all know, there is a big difference between listening to the teacher's explanation of knowledge points in class and doing the test questions directly. But Miyano Akimi could only force the duck to go on the shelf at this time, because Jin not only set a robbery amount requirement for her, but also an additional time limit. According to Jin, since you, Miyano Akimi, are already a formal member of the organization, you can no longer use the standards of peripheral members to require her. Miyano Akimi knew that Jin was making things difficult for her, but she had to fight for her sister's freedom. Soon, Akimi Miyano found 4 accomplices for herself. This time, their target for robbery was the 1.3 billion yen in cash in the Biho branch of the Siling Bank. Akimi Miyano, who had listened carefully to the class, understood that a small group of only 2 or 3 people would definitely not be able to handle such a large-scale operation. However, the increase in the number of gang members means that the team is more difficult to control. If the leader is Toyama Tobi, when someone below disobeys him, he kills 1 or 2 to make an example, and the others will be honest. But Akimi Miyano is not Toyama Tobi after all. She is exhausted by the intrigue with a group of criminals, not to mention that she has to formulate a robbery plan and a retreat route. Fortunately, everything is going in a good direction. The good aspect here refers to Akimi Miyano's identity as the organizer, temporarily forcibly reconciling the 4 accomplices. If there are any conflicts, they will be dealt with after the money is robbed. Such an operation is tantamount to drinking poison to quench thirst for all gangs, but for Akimi Miyano, she is doing a one-time deal and has no intention of sharing the money with these people. What can I do, even if I get a dog's brain after the robbery? Speaking of which, Akimi Miyano has been a subordinate of Toyama Tobi for so long, and has been taken on several missions by Toyama Tobi, and it is not that there is no change. Although her idea of taking her sister out of the organization is still obvious, she obviously no longer has that naive kindness towards other criminals. The world of criminals is a world of cannibalism. The inappropriate naivety of Akimi Miyano in the original work really makes people look extremely stupid. After arranging tasks for other accomplices, Akimi Miyano successfully applied for the Biho branch of Siling Bank with her advantages of high education and high appearance, and became a teller. In this operation, she will play the role of an insider. On the first day that Akimi Miyano joined the Biho branch of Siling Bank, the Hondo infiltration team immediately knew that their manpower was gradually gathering around the Biho branch of Siling Bank under the arrangement of the team leader. Of course, there will not be many agents responsible for the operation under the command of an infiltration team, but the infiltration team leader is very sure about this. Although there are only 3 professionally trained agents under his command, Akimi Miyano has not received any serious training. I'm afraid that this time they will not only be able to capture the target after the operation, but they may also be able to make a lot of stolen money while capturing the target. Black people eating black people. Isn't that the CIA's specialty? Chapter 231. This boy's not worth planning with. It is impossible to return the money to the Bika branch of the Shilling Bank. These days, everyone is short of money, not to mention that the Hondo infiltration team has not opened for 4 years. Receiving the minimum living allowance every year is a sign of being tired of poverty. Now that a great opportunity is in front of them, the so-called noble character is pure nonsense. Anyway, the bank in Bika Town has been robbed more than once or twice, let alone for a day or two. It is estimated that they have long been accustomed to it. What is this called? This is called the Bika style robbing the rich to help the poor. The so-called robbing the rich to help the poor. Of course, whoever has the ability to rob the rich will help the poor. The Hondo infiltration team leader is very business-minded. He knows that if he does not open for 4 years, he will make a living for 4 years after opening. As the deadline for the task set by Jinta Miyano Akimi is approaching, Miyano Akimi, who has become familiar with the old employees of the Bika branch of the Shilling Bank, also learned that in the near future, a batch of 1.3 billion yen in cash will arrive at the business department at noon the day after tomorrow. The number of 1.3 billion is very subtle. Although it does not meet Jin's requirements, it is not far off. The rest of the Miyano Akimi can get together, or they can also get it together through a small-scale robbery. As for the division of the spoils, that was originally agreed upon with other accomplices. What the hell? After receiving this news, Miyano Akimi immediately notified her accomplices to prepare. Miyano Akimi is in charge of the firearms. She is a formal member of the organization and enjoys a small discount when purchasing firearms from the organization. At the same time, she is also the only one in the gang who has the channel to get so many long and short firearms. This is the main reason why she can be the leader of the gang and forcibly mediate internal disputes as a woman. There is no shortage of people who think highly of themselves in this world, and these people who think highly of themselves often have the problem of being overconfident. The main contradiction of Miyano Akimi's gang is that some people in the gang think that it is just a bank robbery and they don't need so many people at all. Maybe Miyano Akimi is a very easy to talk person at ordinary times, but when it comes to her sister, she will become very calm and far-sighted. Of course she is very far-sighted. There will always be serious hidden dangers in a criminal group as the backbone of research and development. Back then, Akimi Miyano's parents were equally talented as Shiho Miyano, and their scientific research level was even higher than Shiho Miyano's. What happened in the end? Didn't they both die in the organization in their prime? Doing scientific research in the organization is not a stable job. So Akimi Miyano has foresight, but she really lacks the necessary means. As for the lies of her accomplices, Akimi Miyano didn't believe them at all. She was afraid that her accomplices would mess up the robbery and streamline the number of people. If it wasn't for the fact that she couldn't find other people to join in a short period of time, Akimi Miyano would have wanted to kill the bastard who made this suggestion. Thinking about eliminating competitors before the money is in hand? It's too early. If you really let you get the money, the organizer, will be kicked out by you. It seems that there was a bank robber who was betrayed and killed by his accomplices before. What was his name? Yikazan? I think it was called this name. Such obscure knowledge must not be Akimi Miyano's own reserves. These were all told to her by Keiyoshitsugu. Let's say Keiyoshitsugu really taught Miyano Akimi everything he knew. Not only did he tell her all the processes, steps, and details, he even told her the gossips that were circulated among the people and officials. Miyano Akimi was able to start practicing directly from theory. It must be said that Keiyoshitsugu's elite education really helped her a lot. Around 12 noon one day, it will be a while before the armored car of the Makako branch of the Shilling Bank arrives at the business department. The armored car will bring a batch of 1.3 billion yen in cash this time, which Miyano Akimi had already inquired about. It was Miyano Akimi's turn to take a lunch break. She went to the dressing room, opened her closet, and took out the black outfit that had been prepared long ago. After finding a place without surveillance to change, she met up with the rest of her accomplices. The armored car arrived at the Makako branch of the Shilling Bank on time, and Miyano Akimi and her accomplices also appeared in front of the escorts on time. Faced with a robbery gang with a full range of long and short guns and no words, the escort immediately raised his hands to surrender. If there were only 1 or 2 people who came to rob with only small pistols, this group of escorts could have a good battle with them. But this group of people in front of them were obviously tough guys. It was not worth it to fight for a month's salary. The entire robbery operation was carried out completely according to Miyano Akimi's plan, and it was unbelievably smooth. The money in the armored car was looted by Miyano Akimi and others before it even entered the bank. Everyone retreated according to the plan. Miyano Akimi returned to the corner without surveillance, changed into a uniform, and returned to the bank. This afternoon, she will submit her resignation to the bank manager. Miyano Akimi's behavior is not special, because every bank will usher in a wave of employee resignations after being robbed. It is also normal for someone like Miyano Akimi to submit a resignation on the spot. I can't be scared by the robbers. I can't go to work with my pants wet, right? The money robbed from the bank was transferred to a taxi. An experienced driver sat in the driver's seat, and a fierce-looking sturdy man sat in the passenger seat. The trunk and back seat of the taxi were full of boxes filled with money. It was obvious that the two of them were responsible for the transfer and transportation of the stolen money. The money was still considered black money, and it needed to be laundered through special channels. It was obvious that Akimi Miyano had to do this. Otherwise, with a few small shrimps like them who couldn't even handle a gun, it would take a long time to launder the 1.3 billion yen. But now the full banknote in the car seemed to have given them some different ideas. Hey, are you really going to let that woman take the bulk of the money? After a long silence, the sturdy man in the passenger seat asked the driver directly. At an angle that the driver couldn't see, he tightened the pistol in his hand. What if I don't give it to her? Do you have a way to launder the money? The taxi driver in the driver's seat was not a worldly man. He dared to guarantee that, if he dared to spend the stolen money, he would be caught by the Metropolitan Police Department in a minute. If he got the money, but couldn't spend it, why bother to make a fuss? Humph, I knew you weren't as honest as you looked, but that's right. The strong man snorted coldly. If he was really honest, he wouldn't have robbed a bank with them. I just happen to know a channel that can launder this money. The handling fee is 35%. 35% is a bit expensive, right? That woman said only 20% is enough. I don't know if you are really honest or not. We have to share 20% of the 1.3 billion among 5 people. That woman still took the lion's share. Now we only have to pay 35%, and there will be only 2 of us. How much money will it be if we split it equally? When the strong man said this, he never looked at the main driver. He just stared at the windshield in front of him. I don't know if he was looking at the road outside that led to nowhere, or looking at the box of banknotes in the backseat through the reflection of the windshield. Chapter 230 To the bullet fired from Moon Shadow Island now hits Miyano Akimi's forehead. Is it reliable? The driver did not show much excitement. His tone was calm, but the speed of the car was gradually increasing. TSK, how do I know if it is reliable when you ask that question? But isn't it the same to give the money to that woman? We are not familiar with each other. Who knows if we can see the money back? You might as well take a gamble with me. Besides, we are not going to launder all the money. Let's launder 100 million first to test the waters. If it is not reliable, we can just launder it slowly by ourselves. The strong man sneered, thinking that the driver asked a nonsense question. Of course, if the driver's speed was not getting faster and faster, he would definitely not mind using his pistol to convince his accomplices. Unfortunately, it is not possible now. If he really pulls out his gun now, the money in this car may be taken away by others. Damn, cunning lib. You make sense. Then take out 100 million first to test the waters. Seeing that the traffic ahead was gradually increasing, the driver no longer maintained the original speed and finally reached an agreement with the strong man. At a ramp, the taxi turned the wheel and drove away from the originally planned evacuation route. I have set up another evacuation point in another place. Let's divide the money first, and then talk about other things. What do you think? The strong man was helpless. The driver was indeed the oldest in the gang. He was really cunning. The speed of the car was not fast now, but if the taxi came to the river, the driver might rush into the river directly if he really wanted to kill him. at that time, let alone whether he could fish out a few boxes of money. Even if he could, he would probably be stared at by the onlookers. Why did this old man always think of a move of mutual destruction? So you have been studying the move of heaven and earth together for your whole life, right? The strong man completely gave up the plan of killing the driver and taking 1.3 billion alone. The main reason was that after these 2 times, he didn't know if the driver had any tricks. Judging from the 2 times that the driver was about to use the trick of heaven and earth together, it would be fine if the driver had no tricks. Once he had a trick, it would definitely be a trick of destroying both sides. Between the 2 choices of one person taking more than 400 million and everyone living in peace, and taking more than 800 million and possibly losing his life, the strong man chose the former. It's not like I don't have money. Why do I have to risk my life? Although I haven't received my share of the money yet, the strong man has quickly transformed from the first stage of a desperate man to the 3rd stage. He began to be afraid of death. Then the desperate man at this stage can't be considered a desperate man. After all, how can a desperate man be afraid of death? Soon the driver drove the strong man and a car full of money through the streets and alleys skillfully, and finally in the depths of an abandoned construction site, the strong man saw the driver's backup. That is, another minivan. Do you need me to give you a ride? The driver got out of the car, loaded his share of the money, closed the trunk, and asked the strong man in the taxi. No, if you don't mind, lend me your car. The strong man got off the co-pilot, patted the roof of the car and grinned. He had a hunch that this would be the last time they met. The matter of cooperating in money laundering in the car was pure nonsense. If the money was in his hands, even if he was deceived, he would be the one who was deceived. Putting himself in others' shoes, the strong man himself was not at ease to let others lead this matter. Of course, the car is for you, but I'll give you a piece of advice. The woman also knows the license plate number of this car. Be careful not to be tricked. Hahaha, don't worry, I'm prepared. Just as the strong man and the driver were chatting and laughing, another car suddenly rushed in from outside the abandoned construction site. The driver and the strong man subconsciously prepared to draw their guns, but before they could draw their guns, the car that rushed in from outside did a beautiful tailspin and turned the co-pilot of the car towards them. The co-pilot's window had been lowered long ago, and a CIA agent fired at the 2 people with a submachine gun. As expected, the 2 fell down in pain. The CIA agent shot the 2 people in the car before getting out of the car. After confirming that the 2 robbers were dead, the CIA agent put on gloves to open the trunks of the 2 cars. After opening the boxes and confirming that they were full of banknotes, he moved the boxes to his own car. As for the bodies on the ground in the 2 cars, they didn't care at all. The level of the Metropolitan Police Department in collecting corpses is still quite professional, which is the common understanding of CIA agents. Just hand over the bodies to the Japanese police. They still have something else to do. At this time, Miyano Akemi, who had submitted her resignation letter at the Bihua branch of Shilin Bank, had no idea that her money had been stolen. As an excellent student who graduated from Kyoshitsugu's bank robbery cram school, Miyano Akemi naturally would not ignore the possibility that the person responsible for transporting the money might betray her. She had placed a tracker on the box when she was in action. This was a high-tech product that she bought at a high price from the organization's logistics department. If she had not been upgraded to a formal member, she would not have been eligible to buy this thing. Back in the car, Miyano Akemi turned on the signal receiver and looked at the flashing signal of the tracker on the screen to identify the direction. Is that direction the port? Miyano Akemi checked the gun in her hand one last time and then started the car engine. Team leader, Miyano Akemi went in the direction of the port. After Miyano Akemi left, a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance on the corner of the street sent an email to his boss. Late at night, Bihua Port Warehouse come out, Keizuka. There's no point hiding there. Akemi Miyano raised her gun and aimed at the direction shown by the tracker in the warehouse. Akemi Miyano had already made up her mind that she would shoot once the driver, Keizuka, showed up. In movies and TV series, villains all die because they talk too much. Akemi Miyano thought that she was probably a villain, so she was not going to follow the old path of her predecessors. As soon as Akimi Miyano finished speaking, 2 footsteps came from the shadows. With the moonlight projected from the warehouse window, she was surprised to find that the 2 people who came out were not her accomplices at all. What's going on? Who are you? Akimi Miyano immediately aimed at the 2 people, ready to shoot if they disagreed. The 2 CIA agents also raised their hands in cooperation, and one of them negotiated with Akimi Miyano. Ms. Miyano, as you can see, we came with good intentions. So, who are you? Akimi Miyano put her index finger on the trigger and applied a little force. This is the skill that Akimi Miyano learned from Toyama Tobi. If the other party does not directly answer your question during the interrogation, do not hesitate to give him a taste of your power. When they were on Moon Shadow Island, several drug dealers avoided the question like this, and in the end they were all beaten badly by Toyama Tobi. If the next sentence of these 2 people is not to answer her question, then Akimi Miyano doesn't mind giving them a taste of their power. Toyama Tobi is right. Having a gun in your hand is no different from having a fire stick. At least let people see that you are determined to shoot. Akimi Miyano held her breath and concentrated. Chapter 233. It's broken. The information is wrong. Zilla. After a burst of electric sound, Miyano Akimi's eyes rolled back, and she fell to the ground. She still hadn't learned the essence of Toyama Tobi. If Toyama Tobi was in the same position as her, he would have shot and killed the 2 CIA agents as soon as he found out that things had changed. How can one be a qualified person who likes to have fun? That is to never become someone else's fun. The 2 CIA agents just now clearly regarded Miyano Akimi as a fun thing. Fortunately, Miyano Akimi was not so vigilant and made the same mistake as Kudo Shinichi, taking care of the head, but not the butt. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been stunned by the person who came up from behind. The last agent who came late put away the electric baton and asked the other 2 agents, "Have you collected the money?" "It's all collected. These are all empty boxes." "Okay, deal with the boxes and then take her back to the safe house." One of the agents returned to the place where the boxes were piled, poured gasoline on them, and threw down a match. The other 2 agents drove the unconscious Akimi Miyano to the car, and the 2 cars drove away from the Mikaport warehouse one after the other. Not long after, the security guard who came to patrol because of the fire looked at the fire in the warehouse and hurriedly called the fire department. After the fire was extinguished, a group of firefighters found the boxes used to store money in the robbed bank. The 3 CIA agents were very excited, more excited than ever before. 1.3 billion yen was almost $9 million at the time, $9 million in the late 1990s. They didn't mind if this order made them silent for another 4 years. The agents knew very well that the $9 million could not all be theirs, and even everyone in the line above them had to share a profit. But if they could get at least 100 or 200,000 dollars, they could get at least 100,000 or 200,000 dollars. Of course, there are countless invisible benefits. The big brothers above took your filial piety, and it was this kind of hard filial piety. How could they not think of you when there is something good? What's more, their status and level are not high, and the big brothers can make a living by just revealing some resources from their fingers. Unlike bank robbers like Akimi Miyano, this money is real stolen money for bank robbers. It is black money that needs to be laundered. If the person you find is not appropriate or has a bad heart, it is normal to ask you for 50% or 60% after one hand. But this does not apply to CIA people. After all, CIA is an official. What should these banknotes taken from the robbers be called officially? It should be called seized money. Akimi Miyano and her gang of robbers are obviously a major criminal gang that has traveled to many countries and carried out many robberies. Because the criminal gang has existed for too long, traveled to too many countries, and committed too many crimes, the ownership of these seized stolen money can no longer be specifically identified. In view of the complexity of the situation, this stolen money will eventually be used to combat transnational criminal groups after a democratic vote. CIA Hondo Group Safe House. Akimi Miyano slowly opened her eyes, suppressed her physical discomfort, and paid attention to her surroundings at the first time. At the last moment, before she fell into a coma, she unexpectedly fell into a car accident. Fortunately, Toyama Tobi had not taught her a proper lesson. Otherwise, it can be said that, although she could not threaten Toyama Tobi's position in the organization, she could make Toyama Tobi's reputation in the education field fall into disrepute. After looking at the surrounding environment, Akemi Miyano found that this seemed to be just an ordinary residential house. After finding that her physical activities were not restricted, she was relieved. At this time, the door of the room was knocked. "Please come in." Akemi Miyano's voice was slightly hoarse. After she said come in, a middle-aged man walked in. The middle-aged man obviously had a mixed-race appearance, and his suit was neatly arranged. After stepping through the door, the middle-aged man stopped. "Ms. Miyano, it's our first meeting. I'm very sorry to invite you here in this way, but we really want to meet you urgently. By the way, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Luca Weaver, from the CIA. CIA. Luca Weaver's self-introduction made Akemi Miyano's brain crash directly. After she woke up, she had several guesses about the organization that kidnapped her people, but the CIA was not one of them. She was a member of the organization who was so peripheral that she could not be more peripheral. Even in her dreams, she would never have thought that one day she would be found by CIA agents. And don't look at the nice words of this middle-aged man named Luca Weaver, but from their actual actions, it really doesn't seem that they came to her with good intentions. "Relax, lady. Please relax a little. I think my guy's rude behavior must have caused you some misunderstandings. But please give me a chance to explain, at least. Please let me express my good intentions, okay?" Although Luca Weaver was also speaking Japanese, this damn translation accent made Miyano Akemi feel right. Anyway, in the current situation, Miyano Akemi seemed to have no room for resistance. Since Luca Weaver wanted to say it, let him say it. So, Luca Weaver's first sentence successfully made Miyano Akemi confused. "Then I'll get straight to the point. Miss Miyano, although I know you have your own connections in the FBI, sometimes it's good to have more options." Luca Weaver had just finished his opening remarks, and after seeing Miyano Akemi's unfailing surprise, he reacted immediately. But the intelligence was wrong. Luca Weaver didn't rely on his so-called qualifications to get the position of the leader of the infiltration team, but on his personal ability. Because people with qualifications would not choose a place like the field team, which is both dangerous and difficult to achieve results. So Luca Weaver realized at the first time that Miyano Akemi's expression meant that her action this time was likely unrelated to the FBI. Originally, all the subsequent plans of Luca Weaver and Mizuna Shirina were based on the fact that Miyano Akemi's actions were instructed by the FBI. Now it seems that the only connection between Miyano Akemi and the FBI is Shuchiake's ex-boyfriend. The connection between the two has not decreased a little bit. In the free and open America, an ex-boyfriend can also be considered a relationship. Luca Weaver realized that his intelligence was wrong and immediately changed the subject and asked Akemi Miyano, "Okay, Ms. Miyano, there seems to be some small problem with my intelligence. Can I ask why you took on a mission that seems impossible to complete, such as robbing a bank?" In such a situation, Akemi Miyano had nothing to hide and directly stated the reason why she was determined to rob the bank. "Because I want to save my sister from leaving the organization. This is the only condition the organization gave me. If I rob 1.5 billion yen in cash from the bank, they will let my sister leave the organization." Luca Weaver carefully observed Akemi Miyano at this moment. He suddenly felt that Akemi Miyano at this moment was like the knight charging at the windmill in the book. So, a female version of Don Quixote? Chapter 234 Gin, didn't you have dinner today? So this is the situation of Akemi Miyano. She feels that the organization is unreliable and is ready to leave the organization with her sister. The FBI is not involved. But she is not completely worthless to us, because she has a sister who is a scientific research cadre in the organization. If we can get her sister to turn to us through her, it will be a great gain for us. After Luca Weaver had a deep talk with Akemi Miyano, he turned around and contacted Rina Mizunashi. Akemi Miyano has confirmed that the FBI did not interfere in this mission, so their idea of exchanging great credit for the FBI can be declared bankrupt. But neither Luca Weaver nor Ina Mizunashi took this matter too seriously, because the 1.3 billion yen in cash robbed from the bank was indeed in their hands. Handing over this money, the credit is even greater than destroying the FBI operation. Let the leaders handle the complicated work without worries. Isn't it also an outstanding contribution that subordinates can make? Has Akimi Ayano agreed to cooperate with us? She has no choice, right? The fact is that Akimi Ayano is not faced with a choice between the CIA and the FBI. There may be an FBI in the future, but so far there is only the CIA. Luca Weaver offered to rescue her sister Shihomi Ayano from the organization in exchange for the information about the organization she would tell her after rescuing her. As a scientist in charge of the main research and development of the black organization, Shihomi Ayano must know the core research content of the organization. This is what Luca Weaver or the CIA wants to know. Rina Mizunashi rubbed her temples with a headache. She thought that getting Akimi Ayano here would almost complete her undercover mission. But after hearing what Luca Weaver said, capturing Akimi Ayano is clearly the first link in this bottomless serial mission. The most terrible thing is that even Akimi Ayano herself can't say how many links there are in this serial mission. Well, it's better to have a goal than to have no goal. Rina Mizuno sighed and comforted herself. So, how much information can Akimi Ayano provide me about Shihomi Ayano? The location of her sister's base? Defense situation? Time when she goes out? No, Mr. Weaver, your silence scares me. Don't tell me that I need to get all this information myself. Luca Weaver's silence made Rina Mizuno realize that, if this is the case, the capture of Akimi Ayano may not even be the first link in the serial mission. It's just a cutscene. Ahem, hey, you are indeed a very talented agent. Luca Weaver said embarrassedly after 2 dry coughs. People in their line of work are always thick-skinned and black-hearted, but Luca Weaver really treats Rina Mizuno as his own child. So it's inevitable that he feels a little embarrassed. Praise, just praise. Purely talking about nothing. After struggling for a long time, Rina Mizuno could only sigh and say, so whether it's the organization's intelligence or Ayano Akimi's intelligence, it will all fall into Spiritus' hands in the end. Obviously, Rina Mizuno's position among the organization's cadres is basically equivalent to Ayano Akimi, who was originally a peripheral member of the organization. They are both mascots of their respective levels. If you are content to be a mascot, you can live a comfortable life. But if you want to find out the organization's intelligence, sorry, there is no such way. It's not even risky, but there is no such way at all. Although Rina Mizuno can mobilize several peripheral members with her cadre status, she has not even been to a few bases of the organization in 4 years. How much intelligence can be obtained by peripheral members alone? Not to mention that Shirley is the backbone of the scientific research team, and she is not in existence that ordinary peripheral members can contact. Therefore, there is only one source for Rina Mizuno to quickly obtain accurate intelligence from the organization in a short period of time, like now, from the Toyama Tobi. After ending the call with Luca Weaver, Rina Mizuno began to think in her apartment. It has been a while since Akimi Ayano disappeared. Jin will react soon if nothing unexpected happens. Toyama Tobi is both Jin's capable subordinate and Akimi Ayano's former boss. Akimi Ayano's sudden disappearance will definitely be heard by Toyama Tobi. What needs to be seen next is Toyama Tobi's attitude towards her. Is it friendly, neutral, or hostile? Mizuno Rina deliberately did not get involved in the operation to capture Akimi Ayano this time, and when Akimi Ayano was in action, Mizuno Rina had sufficient alibis. She even had sufficient alibis for several consecutive days. The cameras around the apartment she is renting now are working well, which just proves that she has not left the apartment since she returned. So even if Toyama Tobi has doubts about her, Mizuno Rina can evade the organization's doubts. It's just another 4 years, and Mizuno Rina can afford to wait. What's more, with the 1.3 billion yen in cash in hand, the situation of their group will be much better. The members of the infiltration team must also be happy with this kind of life of not opening for 4 years, and making 4 years of money after opening. Although it is dull, it is better without danger. Why are you in such a hurry to call me back? After receiving an urgent call from Vodka, Toyama Tobi hurried to a secret base. At the door, he met Vodka, who was still wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night. Vodka walked in front to lead the way for Toyama Tobi. While leading the way, he turned around and said to him, "Mayano Akimi has suddenly lost contact. Emails and phone calls can't be reached. Big brother is very angry now. The phone and email can't be reached? Then why don't you send someone to look for her?" The peripheral members sent to monitor Mayano Akimi have been caught by Big Brother because of a mistake. Big Brother is interrogating them now. Vodka shook his head to indicate that Mayano Akimi's house was empty, but it can't be said to be empty. Anyway, after robbing the bank, Mayano Akimi never returned home. Vodka took Toyama Tobi to an interrogation room. Through the heavy iron door, Toyama Tobi could vaguely hear the screams coming from inside. Toyama Tobi raised his eyebrows. "Brother, you didn't hit me too hard today. How could this guy still scream so loudly?" As the iron door opened, Toyama Tobi frowned slightly. It had nothing to do with the environment inside. It was purely because the screams of the member who was being tortured disturbed him. Toyama Tobi resisted the urge to blurt out, "Jin, didn't you eat today?" and nodded to Jin, who was standing in the interrogation room with a serious face. "Brother." Jin turned around and looked at Toyama Tobi. "Mayano Akimi is out of contact now." "I know, Vodka just told me." "And then what?" The two of them said that the reason they didn't strictly carry out the surveillance mission was related to you. Hearing what Jin said, Toyama Tobi was suddenly startled. "Damn, someone is trying to frame me!" Exclamation mark. Chapter 235. Gamblers don't die well. There are villains who want to harm me. This is the first reaction of Toyama Tobi after hearing what Jin said. Toyama Tobi is sure that he doesn't know any of the two unlucky guys who were hung up in the interrogation room. They have never crossed paths in the organization before. As for the mission of Akimi Mayano, Toyama Tobi has not had time to send this hot potato away. How could he turn around and interfere? The two peripheral members' complaints are actually easy to solve. Jin can find out that this matter has nothing to do with Toyama Tobi with a little investigation. But you can't just look at the surface of things. As everyone knows, Toyama Tobi is a genuine cadre of the organization who has gone through untold hardships and handed in countless letters of surrender before he was promoted. He is a cadre different from the beggar version cadre like Rina Mizunashi. Unless Jin clearly grasps the evidence of his defection from the organization and submits it to the organization boss, then he can be dealt with the authorization of the organization boss. The two peripheral members' attacks did not have any impact on Toyama Tobi. The only thing he was wondering now was who had given the instructions and how much benefit did this guy receive to dare to frame him, a notorious cadre in the organization? Was it because Toyama Tobi had not been active in the organization recently, causing these guys in the organization to not take him seriously? Toyama Tobi was a little curious about the person standing behind these two people. To be honest, Toyama Tobi always felt that he was quite cautious and kind to others. Not only did you ask Vodka, but also how good was his relationship with Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi's main purpose in the organization was to make friends. Of course, Toyama Tobi was not Fukiza or Yukichi or Franklin, and there was no way to guarantee that everyone would like him. So if you don't want to make friends with him, you can refer to Tequila for the fate of coming here ignorantly and leaving with a clean conscience. His whole life ended with a shoe. Such a sunny and cheerful boy who never offends anyone, is kind to others, and loves to do good, but now someone is plotting against him behind his back. Is there still the king's law? Is there still the law? Toyama Tobi's mind was racing, but his face remained calm. As the saying goes, if you don't do anything wrong, you don't have to worry about ghosts knocking on your door. Facing Jin's gaze, he only raised his eyebrows, then found a seat in the interrogation room and sat down. Interesting, come on, continue the interrogation and let me listen. Toyama Tobi unceremoniously crossed his legs and signaled the member in charge of the interrogation that they could start. After seeking Jin's consent with his eyes, the member in charge of the interrogation continued to torture the two peripheral members. Didn't you eat? Use some force. The member in charge of the interrogation had just started when he was suddenly startled by Toyama Tobi, who slammed the table angrily. At this time, Yuan Shenfen's eyes became quite dangerous, staring at him straight. Listen carefully, in this interrogation room, only one person can leave sober. If you can't handle these two, then I will handle you. After that, Yuan Shenfen slapped the pistol on the table and waved his hand to signal the interrogation to continue. Jin sat silently on the side, and Vodka played the role of a good guy at this time. Brother Yuan Shen. Why are you competing with those idiots? Don't worry, my brother and I believe in you. Otherwise we would not call you here at this time. Yuan Shenfen's face was still gloomy. Brother, if it was you who suffered such an unexpected disaster, would you be able to remain calm? You forced that bitch Miyano Akemi to me, right? Brother, I helped you solve a problem, and now this problem is finally out of your hands, but now it turns back to bite my hand? Damn it, it's better not to let me know who it is. Yuan Shenfen expressed his dissatisfaction unscrupulously, with no intention of restraining himself. Vodka was trying to persuade them with kind words. Jin was silent. Finally, with the efforts of the interrogation members, the two peripheral members began to confess without hiding anything. Under normal circumstances, none of these peripheral members would dare to ignore the tasks ordered by Jin. But today they encountered two accidents. These two peripheral members are considered to be good peripheral members in the organization. They are the kind of peripheral members who are more likely to pass the formal member promotion assessment and upgrade to ordinary members. But these two guys have recently been involved in gambling. At the beginning, Jin's power could still restrain the two peripheral members from performing their tasks honestly. After someone changed shifts, they would go to the casino together to contribute to the GDP of Beaker Town. But the long-term lack of rest made the two people's energy increasingly weak. It happened that Akemi Miyano was in the process of scouting. Her daily actions are quite regular, and there is no difference compared to ordinary office workers. This made the two peripheral members responsible for stalking have a crooked mind. Since the target's daily actions are so regular, then there is no problem for them to take a little walk, right? So at the beginning, the two of them took turns to sneak away, and the task of two people was originally assigned to one person to complete. Anyway, Akemi Miyano was not very good, and their surveillance operations did not need to be so professional. Later, it evolved into the two of them sneaking away together, taking the money given by the organization, and going to the casino to squander it. As for Akemi Miyano, they found two bad guys to outsource their tasks. After all, the two were peripheral members of the organization. Compared with the bad guys who did nothing all day and were strong on the outside but weak on the inside, it was simply a dimensionality reduction attack. So the two did not pay any reward for outsourcing this task, but just caught the two unlucky bad guys and educated them, and successfully harvested two lackers who admired the strong. Originally, if Akemi Miyano did not do it, the two could have continued to make this money, but Akemi Miyano chose to act today. The sudden bank robbery scared the two bad guys, and they fled the scene. As they ran away, they forgot about the new bosses. They didn't realize the seriousness of the situation until they were caught by Jin. Then, the two of them suddenly thought of the many rumors circulating among the members outside the organization. For example, the newly appointed Kada Spiritus is a man with more ruthless means than Jin. For example, Miyano Akemi has clung to Spiritus' thigh. For example, Jin has always disliked Spiritus and wanted to kill him. In the message, Spiritus is a big shot who is no less than Jin. At this time, maybe they can pull Spiritus out to attract Jin's attention and let them suffer less. But they didn't expect that Jin actually found Spiritus himself. The sudden appearance of Yuan Shenfei made the two dare not tell the truth easily. After all, according to rumors, Spiritus is not a good person. Because of their own operation, the situation that was originally a dead end suddenly became a life worse than death. How to say it, the saying that gamblers don't die well seems unexpectedly appropriate at this time. Yuan Shenfei almost laughed out of anger when he heard the weak confessions of the two peripheral members. He thought about it for a long time, and it turned out that he was just fighting wits and courage with the air. With this thought, Yuan Shenfei suddenly stood up, picked up the pistol on the table, and walked in front of the two. Just when the two thought they were about to be killed, Yuan Shenfei suddenly stopped raising the gun, sighed and showed a kind smile. I originally wanted to kill you directly, but now I have changed my mind. High-tech talents like you two should not die so quietly under my gun. Chapter 236 Experimental Supplies. The reason why these two peripheral members heard so many outrageous rumors about Spiritus in the organization was thanks to the Trey rumor spreader awarded by Brother Rum. Others were all telling the truth, but when it came to Yuan Shenfei, they were all telling the truth. Yuan Shenfei also noticed that the two people were talking about Spiritus from beginning to end and did not mention Yuan Shenfei. This also means that in the rumors of the organization, Yuan Shenfei is Yuan Shenfei and Spiritus is Spiritus. And because of the appearance of Spiritus, Yuan Shenfei, a former member who was once very popular, has disappeared. This kind of thing is normal in the organization. Even senior cadres like Tequila will die in the mission. There is no reason why an ordinary member like Yuan Shenfei cannot die. No news means that the person is dead, and the death of the person will be quickly forgotten in the organization. The tray of rumor spreader can be regarded as a clear separation between Yuan Shenfei and Spiritus among the members below the cadres. At the same time, it also accelerated the process of being forgotten by ordinary members like Toyama Tobi. Toyama Tobi had great confidence in the attrition rate of peripheral members of the organization. It would not be long before the new generation of peripheral members of the organization would never hear the legend of the official member, the rising star Toyama Tobi. Instead, the mysterious new cadre of the Tokyo region of the organization, Spiritus, was replaced. For the two peripheral members who made Toyama Tobi realize the benefits of rumor spreaders, he prepared a very decent way to say goodbye to them. Since you two are so creative, innovative and bold, I think a simple execution cannot reflect your specialness. You will be sent to the scientific research team to contribute your own strength to the organization's drug research and development. Thank you very much for your great contribution to scientific research. At this point, Toyama Tobi bowed to the two people, and then, under the call of vodka, 4 strong men came in, blocked their mouths in pairs, and took them away. Big brother, please say hello to the research team. If there are any difficult experiments, let my 2 little brothers do it first. With a smile on his face, Toyama Tobi helped the 2 little brothers he had just recognized to take on several good tasks. Even in the black organization, you have to fully carry forward the style of facing challenges head on. Send the person over yourself. It's the base where Shirley was last time. Jin's expression remained unchanged. This is no wonder. After all, the future big brother is a tough guy who strafes the Tokyo Tower with Apaches, strafes the Ferris wheel with Ospreys, and self-destructs his submarine near Hachijo Island in Tokyo. Toyama Tobi's little thing is meaningless to Jin. Shirley? I won't go. Toyama Tobi refused, not wanting to have anything to do with the 2 sisters at this time. One Miyano Akemi is enough for me, and another Shirley? You might as well kill me now. Toyama Tobi is now focusing on playing badly. Anyway, I have shed blood for the organization and I have made contributions to the organization. There is nothing wrong with playing badly at this time, right? Toyama Tobi has known Jin for a long time. You should know that Jin is best at taking advantage of others. If Toyama Tobi sends someone to Shirley's base today, Jin will let him guard Shirley tomorrow. Then he will be responsible for finding Miyano Akemi the day after tomorrow. Can Toyama Tobi find Miyano Akemi? Of course he can. He can always find the safe house of the CIA infiltration team with Rina Mizunashi. But bringing Miyano Akemi back to the organization means offending both the FBI and the CIA at the same time. Toyama Tobi will definitely not do such a losing deal. So Toyama Tobi refused very firmly. You don't have to be responsible for the subsequent tasks. Vodka and I will investigate the woman Miyano Akemi. You just need to send the person over. Jin gave Toyama Tobi a reassurance. If you want to say what Jin likes most, of course he likes to hunt down traitors of the organization. This kind of task that can make Jin happy will definitely not be handed over to Toyama Tobi easily. Jin doesn't believe that in Tokyo, there are still people who dare to touch the tiger whiskers of their organization. At the gate of Beijing Pharmaceutical, 3 cars slowly drove into the underground parking lot of Beijing Pharmaceutical after being checked by the guards. The person in charge of Beijing Pharmaceutical was waiting at the elevator of the underground parking lot with several of his men. Yuan Shenfei got out of the backseat of the first car, and the members of the organization in the 2 cars behind brought down 2 peripheral members. The person in charge of Lord Spiritus smiled flatteringly at Yuan Shenfei. Strictly speaking, he was just a decoration. In Beiju Pharmaceutical, Miyano Shaho was the person in charge of drug research and development, and the security of the pharmaceutical company was taken care of by other formal members of the organization. He was only responsible for some daily management and external communication of Beiju Pharmaceutical. Strictly speaking, he was just a puppet who was only responsible for logistics. After Yuan Shenfei signaled his men to hand the person over to the other party, he looked up and down at the person in charge of the base in front of him. The appearance of the person in charge of the base always conformed to Yuan Shenfei's stereotyped perception of the appearance of Japanese middle-aged people. He didn't know whether this person in charge had any part-time jobs, but Yuan Shenfei always felt that the middle-aged man in front of him exuded a sense of vulgarity from the bones. "I'm asking you, where's Shirley?" Yuan Shenfei didn't waste any words and asked the person in charge directly. Yuan Shenfei is now a cadre with a code name in the organization. Based on the principle of equality, Shirley should come to receive him. What's more, Yuan Shenfei came all the way to deliver experimental supplies to Shirley, so shouldn't he come to say thank you? "Well, Lady Shirley is busy doing experiments, so I can only connect with you." "You come to connect with me?" Yuan Shenfei laughed. "What level are you qualified to connect with me?" After the sarcasm, Yuan Shenfei swung a big punch at the old face of the person in charge. The person in charge, whose blood was suddenly drawn, subconsciously decided that his slightly fat body stood straight and bowed to Yuan Shenfei at a standard 45-degree angle. "Ha Yi. Don't just be here, Ha Yi. Find someone who can make the decision to come and talk to me." Yuan Shenfei waved his hand at the person in charge unhappily, telling him to get out. The person in charge, who found that Yuan Shenfei was not easy to talk to, ran back to Beiju Pharmaceutical and then hurried to Miyano Shaho's laboratory with his face covered. "Hey, Shirley, you finally finished the experiment." Seeing Shirley, who had finished the experiment in the office, the person in charge showed an expression of seeing a relative. "Please come with me quickly. The new Lord Spiritus is not easy to talk to. He asked for equal treatment, and you see how he slapped my face." Miyano Shaho just watched the person in charge in front of him exaggerating the performance and said nothing. People in the organization are used to flattering the powerful and trampling on the weak, and Miyano Shaho has never seen the person in charge with this attitude. Now that he was beaten, he remembered that he also had a code name for the wine. Miyano Shaho didn't want to receive Spiritus, who came to deliver experimental supplies. It just so happened that Miyano Shaho might not have a say in the matter of Beiju Pharmaceutical, but she could still make the decision in the laboratory. "Sorry, my experiment is about to start. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 237. Your sister ran away with someone. How come I'm not dead yet, but my words don't work anymore? Yuan Shenfei looked at the person in charge, who came back alone with an embarrassed and flattering expression, and showed a dangerous smile. It was not until now that the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceuticals deeply felt what it meant to be affected by the fire in the city gate. Yuan Shenfei was very unhappy that he could not see Shirley and did not receive an equal reception. Lord Spiritus had to show his dissatisfaction, and the specific manifestation was that the face of the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceuticals became visibly bigger. Miyano Shaho knew that Spiritus was Yuan Shenfei, and the two of them had a friendship from a mission. In addition, her sister Miyano Akemi is still working for Yuan Shenfei, and the two of them have a little tacit understanding. Miyano Shaho has been unhappy with the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceuticals for a long time, but she usually has no chance to give this person a taste. Now, with the help of Yuan Shenfei, Miyano Shaho unceremoniously gave the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceuticals a little strength. For Miyano Shaho, who has always had a black-bellied gene, as long as she can vent her anger, she can completely ignore the consequences. The current situation is already the worst situation for her. The pharmaceutical organization still needs her to develop drug A, and her situation cannot get worse. So Miyano Shaho ignored the person in charge, who went to her office for help again and again, and only focused on her experiment. The person in charge wanted to cry, but had no tears. He had expected Miyano Shaho's revenge. He knew exactly how he treated Shirley in normal times. There are many ways of bullying in Japan. It doesn't necessarily have to cause physical harm. They also have a hand in mental oppression. These are all the innate skills they have learned and practiced in school from childhood to adulthood. Now Shirley has taken the opportunity to give her some pain in return, and the person in charge didn't think there was anything wrong. But why is Lord Spiritus so stubborn? Exclamation mark. To be honest, although it is true that the person in charge and Shirley have conflicts, he asked himself if he had ever offended Spiritus. Why is Spiritus staring at him? The person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceuticals has tried to let Yuan Shenfei go directly to Shirley's office to find her, but he was rejected by Yuan Shenfei. The respected Lord Spiritus had a strong argument for this. He was commissioned by Jin to hand over laboratory consumables to the organization's scientific research base. Since there are cadres in this base, it must be people of the same level who can speak. You are a small person in charge. You don't even have a code name. What qualifications do you have to order him, Spiritus? Besides, what is it called to break into the master's bedroom without the master's invitation? That's called being impolite. Our Yuan Shenfei's fake identity has a resume that shows that he has received higher education and has also received in-depth training from the organization. How can he behave so impolitely? The person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceuticals stroked his cheeks that had just been slapped back and forth again, speechless and choked. Politeness. Ask yourself, are you polite? Exclamation mark. He finally understood that if Shirley didn't come out to hand over to this Spiritus today, he would probably be beaten to death by this new cadre. The person in charge had already felt that Yuan Shenfei would slowly increase the force every time he beat his big cunt, and his back molars had obviously begun to move. The person in charge had also thought of other ways, such as pulling out the official members in charge of security in the base to take the blame. But he was very smart. When the person in charge was beaten for the second time, he immediately hid in the infirmary and covered his face with a layer of white cloth. The meaning was very simple. Before this Lord Spiritus left, you just treat me as dead. Finally, before the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceutical completely turned into a pighead, Shirley walked out of the laboratory. At this moment, the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceutical was about to send Miyano Shaho to Yuan Shenfei with gongs and drums. Since Shirley took over the task of entertaining Spiritus, the person in charge no longer had the idea of going over to get beaten. After sending Shirley to the elevator, he ran to the infirmary to accompany the security chief. Miyano Shaho took the elevator to the company's reception room, where Toyama Tobi was sitting on the sofa with his arms and legs spread out. On the coffee table in front of the sofa were leftovers. After a quick look, Shirley found that Toyama Tobi's meals tonight were really good, ranging from Chinese food to Japanese food, from French food to Western food. The only thing was that there was no Korean food, because Toyama Tobi didn't like the condiment table, and didn't like eating slop. Are you here? It's not easy to see you. Toyama Tobi moved his wrist and casually greeted Miyano Shaho. Miyano stared at Toyama Tobi for a while and said softly, "Thank you. You're welcome. It's just a piece of cake. Of course, it's easy for you to repay me." Toyama Tobi took 2 documents from his subordinates behind him and threw them to Shaho Miyano. "These 2 people are the experimental supplies I just sent to you today. If you have any high-risk experiments, keep an eye on them. We wanted to kill these 2 bastards directly, but after thinking carefully, you cultural people are better at playing tricks on people. So I sent them to you." After hearing this, Shaho Miyano suppressed his instinctive disgust and asked Toyama Tobi, "Can I ask them how they offended you? The people are right there. Why don't you ask them yourself?" Toyama Tobi didn't have the habit of being a teacher. After instructing Shaho Miyano, he was ready to get up and leave. It seemed that he had troubled the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceutical for a long time, just to say these 2 sentences to Shaho Miyano. Just as Toyama Tobi was about to leave the meeting room, Miya no Shaho suddenly asked, "How is my sister? Didn't you just meet not long ago?" Toyama Tobi paused and said without turning his head, "But I don't know now, because your sister is no longer my subordinate. But she seems to have run away with someone when she was carrying out a certain task of Jin." After Toyama Tobi finished speaking, he left the reception room and left Beiju Pharmaceutical without looking back. His purpose of coming here has been achieved, and he has no other curiosity about this pharmaceutical company that is selling dog meat under the guise of sheep. If nothing unexpected happens, his conversation with Miya no Shaho today will soon appear on Jin's desk. But it doesn't matter, Toyama Tobi did it on purpose. As a cadre of the organization, sometimes you need to have some temper of your own. Although Toyama Tobi and Vodka call Jin Big Brother together, it doesn't mean that Jin can use him as vodka. Toyama Tobi's record of being promoted to cadre was bombed out in batches, so he must have his own temper. You, Jin, called me from home late at night and gave me the cold shoulder, so don't blame me for causing you some trouble elsewhere. What do you call this? This is called a timely statement. Vodka is enough for Jin's loyal dog, and Toyama Tobi does not intend to become the second vodka. This statement is for Gin and Rum. Second brother, I have already had a quarrel with my eldest brother, so it's time for you to win him over, right? Chapter 238 Gentle Rum Online Poaching. Rum did know what happened to Jin very quickly. Rum, who knew the whole story, was not angry but happy. How could he not be happy? Originally, Toyama Tobi was a cadre he favored, and he also had the intention to recruit Toyama Tobi. Normally, after being promoted to cadres, members of the organization would choose their own path. Those who do scientific research belong to the neutral faction, and they don't care about anything, as long as they study drug A. If you need people, give them people. If you need money, give them money. If you need anything special, just tell Jin to get it. It can be said that the scientists in the scientific research group cannot be considered neutral. They are a unique faction that transcends the world. Of course, the people in the scientific research group cannot be contacted by ordinary members of the organization. In addition to the scientific researchers with scientific research talents, the remaining members are basically divided into two categories. One is responsible for action, like Jin. The other is biased towards intelligence, such as Rum. But the people in the action group are not necessarily not engaged in intelligence. Jin often catches undercover agents in the organization. In addition, the intelligence group is not necessarily bad. Whether it is Curacao or Binga, their combat power is considerable. Generally speaking, both Gin and Rum are high-level executives who are deeply trusted by Karasuma and I, so two factions of the organization have been derived around them. There is also a third faction, which is Vermouth. Speaking of which, compared with the research team, Vermouth is more like a neutral faction of the organization. Not only is her position neutral, but you can't even understand what she wants to do. The value of the mystic is clear at a glance. Rum wants to bring Toyama Tobi into his team, but the problem is that Toyama Tobi was discovered by Jin and he used it very smoothly. Originally, Rum planned to temporarily stalemate the ownership of Toyama Tobi, and then find an opportunity to borrow the power of Karasuma and I and let Jin swallow the bitter pill and blacken Toyama Tobi. But after all, plans can't keep up with changes. Rum's plan to poach people has not yet started, and he learned that Jin was in disarray. Can Rum let go of this good opportunity easily? Don't forget that Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Shirina are partners now. No one should miss such a good thing as buy one get two free, right? Although Keel was a bit of a weak cadre, what if he was trained by Toyama Tobi? Rum contacted Toyama Tobi as quickly as possible, saying that both the organization boss and Rum himself believed in Toyama Tobi's loyalty. He even prepared a task for him. Sir this task is not a screening task, right? If the organization really has to screen me, how about I deal with the current prime minister? Don't worry, I will definitely not survive. Toyama Tobi believed that there must be many people with such a high level of operation in the Conan world. To be honest, if Rum nodded, Toyama Tobi would immediately look for candidates. God knows how long he has wanted to do this, since he joined the black organization. No, there is no need to be so radical. Rum was frightened by Toyama Tobi's ambition. More importantly, He knew that Toyama Tobi would not joke about such things. Toyama Tobi always planned carefully before taking action, so when Toyama Tobi made a suggestion, he often had all the subsequent plans ready. This means that, if Rum dares to agree now, he will be able to see the news of the Prime Minister being killed on TV in a short time. No, Rum, I think you are too conservative. Rum can be regarded as a radical in the organization, but a radical, is also called conservative one day. Rum did not want to discuss this issue with Yuan Shenfei in depth, because he was afraid that, if he continued to talk, he would be tempted by Yuan Shenfei. It's like this, Yuan Shen, listen to me first. Rum did not call Yuan Shenfei by his code name, which was Rum's way of expressing closeness. After all, he used to call him Yuan Shen, and suddenly calling him Spiritus would not be conducive to the relationship between the two. Of course, Rum still called his left and right arms by code names, which is called home flowers are not as fragrant as wildflowers. The intelligence team recently found a forum on the internet, and someone in this forum launched a travel group. Our organization is now even starting to take care of such trivial matters. Yuan Shenfei always felt that the development of the organization was a bit strange. Why are the people in the intelligence group starting to work as cyber police? If the Japanese police did not have the establishment of cyber police at this time, Yuan Shenfei would have suspected that these people in the intelligence group were laid off from somewhere and re-employed. Listen to me, you say. The problem with this forum is not the tour group, but a reward offered by the organizer of the tour group. What reward? The Dark Knight Baron virus. Huh. Yuan Shenfei's eyes flashed. Our organization is still interested in that thing. Yuan Shenfei did not have any records related to Dark Knight Baron in the browsing history of the organization's intelligence database. Logically, he should not know this information. So even though Yuan Shenfei knew what Dark Knight Baron was, he still had to pretend to be suspicious at this time. It's not that the organization is interested, but this virus was developed by the organization to protect the organization's confidential information from being leaked. But now someone is using Dark Knight Baron as a reward. I need you to investigate who the organizer of this tour group is. By the way, recycle Dark Knight Baron. Rum carefully explained to Yuan Shenfei the origin of the Dark Knight Baron, and emphasized the importance of the Dark Knight Baron to the organization. The Dark Knight Baron virus is an important encryption measure for the organization's confidential intelligence. If it is really obtained by someone, it means that the organization needs to change to a new encryption method. This is undoubtedly a big project. So the task itself is not difficult, but the importance is very high. Yuan Shenfei had another question about this. Since the virus was developed by the organization, wouldn't it be better to directly ask him if he leaked the virus to other people? R&D personnel like this should not be able to withstand the organization's interrogation method. Well, what you said is indeed a good idea, but after the development of the Dark Knight Baron was completed, the R&D personnel had some accidents and are now dead. So this question is not easy to ask for the time being. Yuan Shenfei was not moved by Rum's electronic voice's cold humor. He took the task casually and asked, "Are you going to take Keel with you on this mission?" "Of course, you will bring her to help you, and the hotel has been booked for you." Rum said as he sent an email. The content of the email was the reservation information of Toyama Tobi and Mizuna Shirina. Rum did not force Toyama Tobi to join the tour group. He still knew Toyama Tobi. If there really was a so-called Dark Knight Baron, Toyama Tobi might cause trouble. Putting him in the tour group would be too conspicuous. Rum was very satisfied with his arrangement. Look. Isn't this much better than that Jin who can only kill people with a cold face? Come on. Toyama, join the arms of the intelligence team. Chapter 239, Not Fast Forwarding, is the greatest respect. System prompt. Your direct supervisor, Rum, has issued you a new task. The mystery of the Dark Knight Baron. The mystery of the Dark Knight Baron. Task. Dark Knight Baron is a popular suspense and reasoning item known to everyone in the Conan world. It was created by the famous mystery novelist Yusaku Kudo. At present, a virus named Dark Knight Baron by the Black Organization is suspected to have been circulated. Your boss, Rum, is extremely angry about this and asks you to find out the truth of the incident in the shortest possible time. Task details. 1. Go to the Princess Hotel in Aizu City, Shizuoka Prefecture. Rum has already booked a room in the hotel for you and your partner too. Find the members of the Aizu Detective Group Tour Group and find the host hidden among them. 3. Retrieve the disk with the Dark Knight Duke virus. 4. If the organization determines that the virus in the disk is real, you need to conduct necessary interrogation on the host to find out how the virus came into the hands of the host. Mission rewards. 1. Depending on the time it takes to complete the mission, you will receive different levels of favorability/trust from Rum. 2. You will be granted the authority to dispatch some intelligence team members. 3. Your intelligence support level will be upgraded from D to C. 4. If you complete this mission perfectly, you will have a chance to trigger the large-scale serial hidden mission The Disappearing Boss of the Black Organization Intelligence Team ***** notes ***** 1. The completion of this mission will be entirely determined by your direct leader Rum. 2. Time is money, man. You have been strengthened. Hurry up. After communicating with Rum, Yuan Shenfei received the mission from the system as soon as possible. He had more or less some reliable guesses about the rules of the system's release of tasks. First of all, not all missions from Rum or Jin can trigger system prompts. For example, Gin or Rum usually asks Yuan Shenfei to run errands or send someone off. This kind of task is not very nutritious and is a task that can be done at hand. This kind of task will not trigger a system prompt. Secondly, the tasks that can be triggered by the system must be led by Toyama Tobi, or in other words, Toyama Tobi must be the leader in the important part of the task to be triggered. As for the various rewards of the task, from this task, it can be seen that none of the 4 awards are related to trays, but this task is not difficult for Toyama Tobi. If he didn't want to be too sensational, Toyama Tobi could have told Rum the truth about the Aizu detective team. The original plot is an old childhood shadow. To be honest, when Toyama Tobi saw Conan being pushed down in the episode, when he was a child, he didn't dare to stand by the window for half a year. That was for fear that a masked man would suddenly jump out from behind and throw him downstairs. Through this task, it can be seen that except for the stable production of tray rewards by adding direct leaders, tray rewards are needed at other times, and the difficulty of the task is too low. However, Toyama Tobi is still very interested in the 4th item of this reward, the hidden task of the intelligence team. Since there are things that Toyama Tobi is interested in the reward, he doesn't mind showing off his speed passing skills that are unique to fun people in this incident. No way, there really is no one who doesn't fast forward when watching a movie. Aizu City, Shizuoka Prefecture. Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Shirina came to the gate of the Princess Hotel in casual clothes. The two drove all the way to Aizu. The reason why they didn't take the more convenient Shinkansen was because both Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Shirina were carrying weapons. Although the Shinkansen is not inspected at all, whether it is guns and ammunition, controlled knives, various cyanides, and many explosives, they can be brought on. But in order to avoid twists and turns, Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Shirina decided to drive there. Anyway, it only takes 2 or 3 hours to drive by yourself, at most 1 hour more than taking the Shinkansen. Japan is such a small place, it's not very tiring. The two chatted all the way, but didn't talk about Miyano Akimi. This is no wonder. Since becoming Toyama Tobi's partner, Mizuno Shirina is no longer the mascot of the organization. After all, she knows a few bases, and can still hear some gossip. For example, because Spiritus had eaten a guale at Jin's place, because of Miyano Akimi. If Mizuno Rina mentioned Miyano Akimi again now, it would be tactless, and she would be offending people. Secondly, Miyano Akimi got into trouble after Mizuno Rina asked Toyama Tobi about it. Now she still dared to mention Miyano Akimi and even Shirley. Was she afraid that Toyama Tobi would not doubt her? Mizuno Rina dared to guarantee that if she dared to mention Miyano Shaho today, Toyama Tobi would kill her without any hesitation. Although the organization needs the boss's authorization to kill cadres, Mizuno Rina is not a genuine cadre at present, and the beggar cadres do not have such treatment. What's more, there are mountains and rivers along the way, so there are no places where people can't be buried. Can the organization really do something dirty because of her mascot and a rising star like Toyama Tobi? Mizuno Rina is still very clear about her positioning. It's too stupid to mention Miya no Shaho now. Even if Toyama Tobi really has such a little idea, he certainly won't want to cooperate with a fool. Coincidentally, Toyama Tobi also thought so. So what's the action plan? Seeing that they were about to enter the hotel to check in, Mizuno Rina couldn't help but ask Toyama Tobi. The two chatted all the way, but they didn't talk about the organization's mission. Mizuno Rina herself admired Toyama Tobi for being so patient. Well, what's there to talk about? Toyama Tobi said indifferently, go to the hotel and find the people in the tour group, and then interrogate them one by one, right? This, so rough. Do you want me to play house with a group of ordinary people in the hotel? Toyama Tobi tilted his head. Isn't it good to finish the mission early and start vacation early? Mizuno Shirina, who has been working as a slave at Nechimi TV for many years, was instantly moved by Toyama Tobi. What you said makes sense. Then how can we find them in the tour group? Coincidentally, I happen to know someone in the tour group. Toyama Tobi showed Mizuno Shirina the screen of his mobile phone, which showed a dialogue box between him and Mao Lilan. The visitor was communicating via text message. Is Xiaolan also in this tour group? Yes, not only Xiaolan, but also Maori brother and Conan the brat are here, which means that our mission targets have been reduced from 10 to 7. Maori Kagoro is not used to using mobile phones at the moment, and Conan is too young to use mobile phones easily. An anonymous suggestion from Toyama. So Xiaolan is the only one in the Maori family who has a mobile phone, and Toyama Tobi can only contact Xiaolan. Toyama Tobi put away his phone and said to Mizuno Shirina, let's go. They are checking in at the front desk now. Maybe we can use their light to get to know the other members of the tour group later. We really have to thank nature for the gift. Chapter 240. When will I be awarded the Red Ribbon Medal? Note 1. Hey, brother Maori, what's wrong? Why do you look so miserable on such a nice day? As soon as he entered the hotel lobby, Toyama Tobi noticed Maori Kagoro standing by the front desk with a miserable face. Next to him was Conan, who was covering his head. It's all because of this brat. He cut corners even when passing on a message. Maori Kagoro rubbed his fists in dissatisfaction. Facing the surprised expressions of Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Shirina, Maori Kagoro explained to them why Conan was beaten. In his previous life, when Toyama Tobi watched anime, he often saw scenes of Conan being beaten by Maori Kagoro. Sometimes Toyama Tobi felt that Maori Kagoro's reasons for beating people were a bit sloppy, but sometimes he felt that Maori Kagoro's beatings were not harsh enough. Now with Toyama Tobi, Maori Kagoro's frequency of beating Conan has not decreased, but has increased slightly. The only difference between the two worlds is probably that every time before or after Conan is beaten, Maori Kagoro will tell him why he was beaten. That's true. But when Conan passed the message, the room fee was free. Fortunately, the Maori Detective Agency has always adhered to Toyama Tobi's business strategy. Otherwise, with the death of clients every now and then, Maori Kagoro might not be able to bring so much money. Isn't it said that there are two most embarrassing things for men? One is shaking the watch, and the other is tossing the pen. In fact, the embarrassment of a man flipping through his wallet is not necessarily less than the first two. It can only be said that Conan's love education is not unfair at all. Toyama Tobi didn't add fuel to the fire at this time, but just glanced at Conan sympathetically. Little boy, you should be more careful. By the way, Toyama brother, are you and Miss Mizuno here for a trip too? Xiaolan asked a nonsense question. Yes, Rina happened to be on vacation, so I took her to the beach to play. Toyama Tobi nodded. The relationship between Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Rina as a fake couple officially began to play. In the past, if Toyama Tobi appeared alone at the Princess Hotel, Conan would definitely be curious about Toyama Tobi's purpose. Even, it is certain that Toyama Tobi is here to carry out the Black Organization's mission. Toyama Tobi does not want to compete with Conan in wits and courage when carrying out the mission, and it is not the style of a fun person to let him go. But if Conan is really killed directly, it is indeed a lot of fun in the short term, but it is not worth the loss in the long run. This is back to the classic philosophical question, do you want short-term happiness or long-term happiness? Here Toyama Tobi gave the answer, he wants both. With Mizuno Shirina's cover, even Conan didn't think there was anything wrong with the two of them coming to the Princess Hotel. Again, a pair of young lovers can be said to appear on the street, or in the deep mountains and forests. What if the two of them just like the tune of being close to nature? However, Toyama Tobi and Maori Kaguro were just chatting with such a young guy, and the members of the tour group appeared in front of the two one by one, as if they were rushing to the scene. Ehara Tokyo, who was drunk on the sofa, was the unlucky guy who was killed in the original work. He looked like the standard Japanese wretched uncle. If you have no idea about this, ask a good brother in the comment area for a website to study it yourself. Then there is Shiro Kono, who has medium length hair covering half of his face, holding a computer in his hand, and telling anyone he sees the Baron of the Night is you, right? When asked about Toyama Tobi, he was scared by Toyama Tobi's behavior of calling the police. According to Toyama Tobi, this grandson holding a computer might be trying to harass or secretly record him, so he quickly called the police to arrest him. This wave of overly advanced operations really scared everyone, and after some persuasion, Shiro Kono left with his computer in embarrassment. There is also an old man with a servant named Genichiro Kaneshiro. On the surface, he seems to have a bad eye, but in fact, Toyama Tobi can feel that this old man has been looking him up and down several times since he appeared. Then there is Kamijao Hideko. Maori Kaguro likes the queen type the most, and the kind of queen who is very active. Of course, because Maori-ran is too focused, Maori brother didn't become coquettish. Finally, there is a couple, Mida Satoshi and Sayamura Kiko. It should be mentioned here that Mida Satoshi is also a high-powered character in the Conan world. He can fight with Xiaolan without losing, although the fight was relatively short. Sayamura Kiko is the organizer of the tour group, and is the target person that Rum needs. Although Toyama Tobi already knows the truth, he still has to go through the necessary procedures. Under the call of the god of death, the members who want to join the tour group appear one by one for Toyama Tobi to remember, and then everyone does not plan to gather together. Just as Toyama Tobi and the Mori family were about to leave, the middle-aged wretched man Jianyuan Toki stretched out his evil hand to Xiaolan as expected. "Hey, what are you doing?" Toyama Tobi grabbed Jianyuan Toki's dirty hands and shouted loudly in the hotel lobby. With Toyama Tobi's shout, everyone in the hotel lobby looked over here. The drunk Jianyuan Toki subconsciously wanted to pull his hand back, but after a long time of effort, he only showed his kidney deficiency. The arm that Toyama Tobi was holding onto his wrist didn't move at all. The scene was clear at a glance. A pervert was caught in the act. Maori-ran stepped back in shock. Maori Kaguro immediately flew into a rage and immediately rushed towards Jianyuan Tokyo in 2 steps. "Brother Maori, don't be like this. Calm down. Calm down. Brother Maori, don't be impulsive. Don't hit him in the face." Toyama Tobi held Jianyuan Tokyo tightly and made a mosquito-like sound of dissuasion, but when it came to hit him in the face, his voice became clear and loud. When it comes to persuading people to stop fighting, Toyama Tobi has always been good at it. Chapter 241. Is it true? I don't believe it. Originally, Maori Kaguro was still somewhat rational and did not hit Jianyuan Tokyo in the face. But now he heard Toyama Tobi's reminder and saw that Toyama brother had helped him hold the man down. What else can he say? He turned on the violent mode directly. Anyway, Jianyuan Tokyo enjoyed a wave of physical sparring from the master of Bika Judo. As for what consequences would be caused, Maori Kaguro was not really afraid, not to mention that the cause of the conflict was Jianyuan Tokyo's dirty hands. Who is Maori Kaguro's wife? That is the famous undefeated lawyer, Eri Kisuki, in Bika town and even in the whole of Tokyo. Do you understand the value of the undefeated queen in the legal world? If there is a male version of the flower of the Metropolitan Police Department, well, it would be really authentic. Anyway, after Maori Kaguro stopped, Jianyuan Tokyo had a complete transformation. At this moment, even if his mother stood in front of him, she might not recognize this son. Of course, for this kind of stuff, Toyama Tobi always assumes that this guy is a nobody and jumped out of a crack in the stone. Seeing that Maori Kaguro had finished his work, Toyama Tobi let go of his hand, and Jianyuan Toki fell to the ground. Toyama Tobi waved to the lobby manager who was standing aside and was afraid to step forward because of Maori Kaguro's momentum. Then please send this thing to his own room. By the way, do you know which room he lives in? Toyama Tobi found Jian Toki's wallet from his body, got the room card, and took out a few 10,000 yuan bills, and handed them to the lobby manager. The lobby manager was also a wonderful person. Seeing Toyama Tobi handing over the money, he took it without hesitation. "This is Mr. Jian Toki who lives in room 2101. Don't worry, we will send Mr. Jian back to his room safely." After saying that, he casually called 2 security guards from the concierge department and asked them to send Jian Toki back to his room with a luggage cart. As for the tip that Toyama Tobi just gave, you can't just divide the money in front of the guests. That would be so ugly. Just like this small episode passed quickly. Everyone in the lobby saw that it was Toki who made the move, and the hotel would not call the police on its own initiative for the sake of its reputation. Toki did not even say that he would call the police, so the hotel would naturally not interfere and just send him to his room with a luggage cart. Because of Maori Kagoro's violence, the whole tour group also saw the style of the famous detective from Tokyo. As expected, he is a famous detective from Tokyo, and this hand of standing still output is really powerful. Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Rina checked in smoothly, and the lobby manager also upgraded the room type for the two to be the lobby manager of the Princess Hotel. Naturally, he is also a clear-headed person. The leader in the episode just now is clearly the young Toyama Tobi, not the famous detective Maori Kagoro. The lobby manager saw it clearly. Arriving at the sea view suite of the Princess Hotel, Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Rina didn't speak. After putting down the luggage, they began to conduct a thorough inspection of the room to prevent anyone from installing eavesdropping devices or micro cameras in it. After a thorough inspection, the two did not find any surveillance equipment in the room, so they started to communicate with each other. The first person to be investigated is that Jian Shinin. Of course, didn't the lobby manager of the hotel tell us the room number? And judging from his current state, it should be easy to ask. Toyama Tobi opened a suitcase and began to change clothes in front of Mizuno Rina without any cover. There are many people in the hotel, so it is naturally necessary to cover up in order to move around in the hotel. Toyama Tobi doesn't know the unscientific disguise of the Kuroba family for the time being, so he can only think of ways to change his body shape. After padding his shoes with a few layers of insoles, Toyama Tobi put some padding in his coat, making him look like a 7-foot tall man. After putting on a mask, hat, and scarf, Toyama Tobi turned to face Mizuno Rina. "How is it? Can you see any flaws?" "I can't see. The pressure is very strong." Mizuno Rina shook her head. "Then hurry up and disguise yourself. Finish work early and enjoy the holiday early," Toyama Tobi urged Mizuno Rina. After that, Toyama Tobi took off his disguise, put the things he needed for disguise in a bag, and put it at the door. "I'll go to deal with the hotel's surveillance first. You wait for my news in the room." After that, Toyama Tobi left the room, walked into the stairwell, and went straight to the hotel's monitoring room. There was only one security guard in the hotel's monitoring room who was bored and groping. Toyama Tobi didn't even alarm him. He sent the pen-shaped anesthetic gun through the crack of the door, aimed at his neck, and fired an anesthetic needle. After the security guard fell down, Toyama Tobi walked into the monitoring room and turned off the surveillance inside the hotel with a little operation. Then he took out his mobile phone and sent an email to Mizuno Rina. After doing all this, Toyama Tobi left the monitoring room and walked down the stairwell for a few floors. Then he walked into the elevator and pressed the 21st floor button. At the door of Jian Toki's room, Toyama Tobi successfully cooperated with Mizuno Rina. "No one saw you, right? Don't worry, no one noticed when I left, and it doesn't matter if they saw me when I came back. They don't know where I got on the elevator. Hurry and open the door. Those who can become cadres in the organization must be versatile. At least their skills in sneaking in and picking locks are much higher than those of detectives." After a while, the door was opened by Mizuno Rina through technical means. In the room, Jian Toki, who was beaten by Maori Kagoro, had not woken up yet. Toyama Tobi took this opportunity to change into a full set of disguises. Not only Toyama Tobi, but Mizuno Rina also disguised herself well. From a distance, it is completely impossible to tell that this is a great beauty, but more like a slightly thin man. After the disguise, Toyama Tobi got a glass of cold water from the bathroom, grabbed Jiangyu and Toki's hair and splashed it on his face. The method was still effective. Jiangyu and Shinan, who was in a coma, slowly opened his eyes and then saw two men covered in black clothes staring at him. Jiangyu and Shinan, are you the organizer of the Aizu detective team? Do you have the Dark Knight Baron virus? No, it's not me. I don't have the Dark Knight Baron virus either. Exclamation mark. Jiangyu and Shinan seemed to have been opened up by Marika Goro. Seeing that Toyama Tobi and Mizuna Shirina were not friendly, he immediately denied it. He came to the tour group for the Dark Knight Baron virus. Under the superficial identity of a dirty uncle, he was actually a hacker. If he could get the Dark Knight Baron virus, he could fully support him to go further on the road of the lawless maniac. Anyway, he didn't get the virus at this time, and he didn't want to suffer anymore. Really? I don't believe it. Toyama Tobi suddenly became a Luyu, pulling Jiangyu and Shinan to the window, like dragging a dead dog. Chapter 242. Crying also counts as time. Where is the virus hiding? Tell me. If you can't, I'll throw you out. Yuan Shenfei opened the window and forced Jiangyu and Shinan to look down from the 21st floor. Right below the window was a statue of a knight holding a knight's lance, although Jiangyu and Shinan could hardly see the statue downstairs at this moment. But it doesn't matter. When he passed by the hotel square, he had already carefully visited the statue under the introduction of the staff. Crying? Crying also counts as time. Yuan Shenfei suddenly exerted force and felt the power coming from behind. Although Jiangyu and Shinan did not move, he was sweating profusely at this moment, as if he had jumped over a building. There is a virus. There is a virus. I came to this tour group just for the Dark Knight Baron virus. As long as the organizer is found, there will be a virus immediately. Jiangyu and Shinan closed his eyes tightly and tried to lean back, but it was useless. There are many people in this world who are stronger than Yuan Shenfei, but this definitely does not include Jiangyu and Shinan, who was hollowed out by alcohol and sex. How long? 2 days and 1 night. I have to wait for you for 2 days and 1 night. Toyama Tobi directly stretched half of Jiangyu and Toki's body out of the window. 1 day. Half a day is fine. I came early and have already found out a little bit. In order to avoid being thrown downstairs by Toyama Tobi, Jiangyu and Toki revealed everything he knew. The little mustache family who came last are obviously here to make up the numbers. They don't know what the Dark Knight Baron is at all, so they can't be the organizer. I have heard of the old man Jin Chengzu and Nialang who brought the servants. He is a maker of small yellow butter, and he can't be the organizer. Kamijao Hideko is my ex-wife, and she can't be the Dark Knight Baron. The only ones left are Konoshiro and the young couple, Mida Satoshi and Sayama Akiko, and they are the only ones I'm not sure about. It only takes half a day for me to find out who is the real organizer. Then I can get the virus. Although Jiangyu and Toki is drunk and lustful, this reasoning is really hard work. It's no wonder that the regional characteristics of the Conan world allow everyone to show off their reasoning when needed. The reasoning is very good. I'm very satisfied. Toyama Tobi smiled and patted Jiangyu and Shi's shoulder. Just when Jiangyu and Shi's shoulders were somewhat relaxed and thought that he could survive this time, Toyama Tobi threw him out of the upstairs. Since you have already said everything you know, doesn't it mean that you have no value at all? Toyama Tobi shook his head and gave Jiangyu and Shi's downstairs some organizational values. Are we retreating now? Mizuna Shirina, who had been silent all the time, asked Toyama Tobi after he finished dealing with Jiangyu and Shi's. Toyama Tobi nodded and said nothing, but when he left the room, he set a fire in Jiangyu and Shi's room. The whole room was full of flammable materials, and the fire spread quickly. At the same time, Jiangyu and Shi's body was also discovered by tourists downstairs, causing a commotion. In just over 10 minutes, thick smoke rolled out of Jiangyu and Shi's window, and the fire protection system in the room was also triggered. The sprinkler device extinguished the fire in the room. Shizuoka Prefecture Police came to the Princess Hotel to investigate the fall of Ehara Tokyo. Knock knock knock. Officer Yokomizo? Toyama Tobi opened the knock door and asked the coral head outside in surprise. Brother Toyama? Coral head Yokomizo Sango saw the door open and was going to say a few official words. but he saw Toyama Tobi, whom he had seen in Saitama Prefecture. At that time, Toyama Tobi killed a murderer in self-defense. "Can I come in?" Toyama Tobi subconsciously looked back at the room, then nodded to Yokomizo Sango. "Of course, Officer Yokomizo, please come in." Opening the door, Toyama Tobi let Yokomizo Sango and his men into the suite. Mizuna Shirina also walked out of the bedroom and came to the living room of the suite to greet Yokomizo Sango. "Hello, officer." "Hello, madam." Yokomizo Sango is also a wonderful person. Seeing Toyama Tobi and Mizuna Shirina living together, he smiled and greeted. Of course, it is more likely that he has learned about the relationship between Toyama Tobi and Mizuna Shirina from the lobby manager. Speaking of which, Officer Yokomizo, don't you work at the Saitama Prefectural Police Headquarters? Toyama Tobi took out a few bottles of drinks from the refrigerator in the suite and handed them to Yokomizo Sango. "Yes, but I was transferred to Shizuoka Prefecture not long ago." "I see. So Officer Yokomizo, you came to me. What happened?" "Don't worry, we are all family. Just ask if you have any questions. I promise to tell you everything I know." There is nothing wrong with what Toyama Tobi said. Yokomizo Sango also checked Toyama Tobi's identity as an informant during the last case. It is not an exaggeration to say that he is a family member. Then I will ask directly, do you know this person named Ehara Takemichi? "Of course I know him." Toyama Tobi nodded. "Speaking of which, this bastard was beaten up by me and brother Mori. He's dead." "Dead? How did he die?" Toyama Tobi was slightly surprised, but not panicked, and even asked back curiously. "He died from falling from a building, from a room on the 21st floor, and fell to the ground. That's a really tragic way to die." Toyama Tobi nodded seriously. "I see. It was because of the conflict between me and Ehara Toki that you, Officer Yokomizo, came to me to investigate." "Ehara Toki and I didn't know each other before today, and we had never met. The reason why I beat him up with brother Mori was that he wanted to do something to Xiaolan, but I stopped him. That's the conflict. Since he didn't succeed, beating him up was also a way for Xiaolan and brother Mori to vent their anger. That matter was over, and after that, Rihanna and I came to the room and never left." Toyama Tobi described what happened at the time in a straightforward manner, without exaggerating, and without asking to help with the investigation. Originally, Toyama Tobi and Ehara Toki didn't know each other, and even if Ehara Toki was killed by him, Toyama Tobi was the least suspicious one. As Toyama Tobi expected, Officer Yokomizo was really here to go through the motions, and he didn't seem surprised when Toyama Tobi mentioned Mori. "I'm afraid Officer Yokomizo has already met Mori Kagoro." Yokomizo Sango closed his notebook and thanked Toyama Tobi. "Thank you very much for your cooperation. I still have some investigations to complete, so I'll go to work first." "Toyama brother." "Officer Yokomizo, everything went well. Thank you for your good wishes." Yokomizo Sango came and left in a hurry. Despite the help of the famous detective Mori Kagoro, they still couldn't determine whether Ehara Tokio committed suicide, fell from the building accidentally, or was murdered. According to Mori Kagoro's reasoning, Ehara Tokio should have smoked in the room and accidentally caused a fire. In a panic, he jumped down from the 21st floor. Yokomizo Sango originally thought that Mori's reasoning was correct, but later his police officers found some new clues. Chapter 243. Sister is very interested in you. If a living person falls from the sky, what is the first reaction of passers-by around? The first reaction should be to avoid, then slowly get closer to watch the excitement, and finally look up to try to see which floor the person jumped from. This led to some people noticing that when Ehara Takino jumped from the 21st floor, or the entire building of the Princess Hotel, there was no smoke at that time. This also means that when Ehara Takino jumped from the building, the fire in his room was not that big, or there was no fire at all. Mori Kagoro's reasoning was overturned again. Since the incident is gradually developing in a non-accidental direction, it is obviously necessary to investigate the surveillance. As a result, the situation of the destruction of the Princess Hotel surveillance was summarized here by Yokomizo Sango. Since the security guard in the monitoring room fell asleep after being injected with the anesthetic needle of Yuan Shinkei, when the police questioned him, he insisted that no one had entered the monitoring room. As for the problem with the monitoring system, it was like this: when he was on duty, he is just an ordinary security guard. Isn't it normal that he can't handle such high-tech surveillance? As for when the monitoring room broke down, it is a messy account to check this kind of thing, and it is not easy to check. It was a dead end to find suspicious targets through surveillance, so Yakogo Sango called on his men to start visiting. What's more, this visit really revealed something. Someone met a suspicious person in the elevator who was about 1.9 meters tall and had a strong physique. Not only that, this suspicious person was not only wearing long clothes and long pants in the seaside hotel in the middle of summer, but also wearing a hat, a mask, a scarf, and sunglasses. He wrapped himself tightly and didn't reveal his true face at all. Yakogo Sango took the portrait of the suspected target to the lobby manager and asked him if there was such a person among the hotel guests. Then he got the lobby manager's gaze. This person was wrapped so tightly, how could he know? Anyway, when all the guests checked in, no one dressed like this. So the investigation was deadlocked for a while. It is unrealistic to pull out all the guests in the hotel who are over 1.9 meters tall for investigation. In addition, Conan reminded, what if this person's height and body shape are disguised? The reason why Conan said this is because he also has a suspect. There was one person he knew who could do such a brutal act as throwing someone directly from the 21st floor. Mizuno's sister. Mizuno's sister. Conan fluttered his big eyes and pulled Rina Mizuno aside. What's wrong, Conan? Rina Mizuno and Toyama Tobi sat in the room for a while and then came out to watch the fun. Although they were the ones who threw the person down, wouldn't it be interesting to watch the follow-up investigation at the scene? Isn't it said that criminals, not limited to murderers, like to return to the scene? Now Toyama Tobi can tell others with confidence. That's right. Criminals are like this. Although the two came here to watch the fun, they found that there was actually nothing to see. After watching for a while, the criminal police from Shizuoka Prefecture were looking for witnesses with a small notebook. The police officers from the forensic department were using a small shovel to collect the remains of Tokihara, and there was also a first grade elementary school student who was going back and forth between Tokihara's room on the 21st floor and the scene downstairs. Speaking of which, Rina Mizuno is also very interested in Conan, a primary school student who is not afraid of death and even pretends to investigate. She can see that this child is really not afraid of this uncomfortable scene. And now, Conan pulled her aside and seemed to have something to ask her. Rina Mizuno certainly didn't think that Conan was doubting her and trying to get her to say something. She really wanted to know what Conan wanted to ask her by pulling her aside. That Sister Mizuno, has Brother Toyama been with you all afternoon? Well, this kid did not doubt herself, and he was very discerning. But he actually suspected Toyama Tobi? Was it an accident, or was there another reason? Rina Mizuno remained calm, but seemed a little surprised after hearing Conan's question. Sato Tobi has been staying in the room with me all the time, and we were discussing whether to go to the beach when the sun is smaller. Conan, you are not doubting your brother Toyama by asking this, right? It can only be said that the opponents that Conan encounters on a daily basis are not at the level of Rina Mizuno. The ones Conan encountered were just some criminals, but Rina Mizuno, she was a professionally trained agent. How could she reveal her flaws when Conan asked her a question out of the blue? This thing doesn't work, even if you ask and answer it, let alone just blinking your eyes. Conan is used to answering all the questions, and he has never failed before, but Rina Mizuno's cute aura suddenly didn't work. Facing Rina Mizuno's counter question, Conan could only smile and laugh. How could I possibly doubt Toyama Jujutsu, a detective game? I must become the Sherlock Holmes of the Heisei era. You are worthy of being the gold medal host of Nichimi TV. Your reaction is so fast. If it was Xiaolan, Conan might have brushed it off. But it's a pity that Conan is now facing Rina Mizuno. Rina Mizuno smiled and said, really? Then, little detective, do you mind telling me your reasoning? Since you asked if your brother Toyama was in the room, you should have a reasoning. How about you pretend that Sato Tobi is the murderer? Conan once again felt the thorniness of the woman. Looking at Rina Mizuno, she knew that she would not let him go unless he explained everything. In this case, Sister Mizuno, I want to go to the bathroom. Conan ran away, using the P-escape method to perfection. Looking at Conan's back, Rina Mizuno did not intend to chase him. In fact, in Rina Mizuno's eyes, Conan's P-escape method had exposed many situations. For example, if it was just a child who liked reasoning and liked to play detective, when someone wanted to listen to his reasoning, shouldn't he be happy to agree? If it was an introverted child, he would not ask Rina Mizuno this question at this time. Then Conan's P-escape behavior seemed to be very problematic. But the biggest question is why there was a murder in the hotel. Why did Conan put his suspicion on Toyama Tobi when there was no clear evidence? Did the kid know that Toyama Tobi was a member of the organization? Rina Mizuno, she thought it was unlikely. Based on her understanding of Toyama Tobi, if the traffic police knew his identity, he would definitely not survive. When Toyama Tobi takes action, he doesn't care if the target is a child. Just like when he throws someone, he doesn't care if someone below is hit by the object thrown from the high altitude. So maybe Toyama Tobi was bumped into by this kid when he was on a mission? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, Showdown or Not. After the police left, Toyama Tobi and Mizuno Shirina used the same trick to find Sayamura Kiko. It seemed that, because the people they wanted to kill had been killed in advance, Sayamura Kiko confessed that she was the organizer of the Aizu detective team. And when Toyama Tobi asked her about the whereabouts of the Dark Knight Baron virus, she simply said that she never had any Dark Knight Baron virus. This thing was simply a bait to attract Jiangyu and Shizuke in order to avenge her brother. She didn't even know what the Dark Knight Baron virus meant. Sayamura Kiko just remembered that there was a period of time when the whole of Tokyo was ravaged by this virus called Dark Knight Baron. That's why she thought of using it as bait. After Mizuno Shirina's lie detector test and Toyama Tobi's repeated interrogation skills, it was confirmed that Sayamura Kiko really didn't have the Dark Knight Baron virus in her hands. The two left Sayamura Kiko alone in the room and left. After returning to the suite, Toyama Tobi handed in the task to Rum. The mission has been completed. The organizer of the Aizu detective team has been found. Her name is Sayamura Kiko, and she is a high school math teacher. That's right. She has nothing to do with the organization. She doesn't have the Dark Knight Baron virus at all. She just used the name of this virus as bait to lure her enemies into the trap. Her enemy was just killed by me at the Princess Hotel. The police left not long ago, so I didn't kill him. But she should return to Tokyo in the next day or two. Do you want to arrange someone to kill her? Toyama Tobi had an indifferent attitude. It's not that Sayamura Kiko can't be killed, but after killing her, she will be investigated by the police. Maybe she can't leave for a while. Toyama Tobi doesn't like trouble when she's not having fun. So he simply put the blame on Rum. Rum didn't care. She was just an ordinary high school math teacher. If there was a problem, Toyama Tobi didn't need to step in. Any peripheral member could deal with such an ordinary person. So he told Toyama Tobi a very explosive news. Shirley went on strike? No, this matter has nothing to do with me. Yuan Shenfei directly distanced himself from it, saying that it was not him who taught Shirley to go on strike. I know it has nothing to do with you. I just came to ask what you said to Shirley after you sent the people over that day. What did you say to her? Let me think about it. Yuan Shenfei frowned and thought for a moment and said, it seems that she didn't say anything. I just asked her to entertain the two peripheral members I sent over. Then when she was about to leave, she asked me how her sister was, and I told her that her sister ran away with someone. I think there's nothing wrong with what I said, right? Yuan Shenfei's tone suddenly became dangerous. What, are you going to make me take the blame for Shirley's strike? During the call, Rum noticed that Toyama Tobi was getting agitated, and he hurriedly spoke to appease him. He had to appease him, because judging from past mission experiences, Toyama Tobi was absolutely crazy. He didn't consider the consequences at all when he did things. If Toyama Tobi was really mad, he would go back and fight with Gin, and no matter how many secret bases the organization had, they would not be enough for Toyama Tobi to blow up. Although Rum and Gin occasionally had small fights, the two of them always maintained a situation of fighting, but not breaking up. After all, the discord between Rum and Gin at certain times was also performed for Karasuma and Aya to see. Otherwise, would Karasuma and Aya be at ease if the cadres under his command became friends? Instead of letting new players come in and share the power in their hands, it would be better for Rum and Gin to maintain a silent understanding and be well on their own. I'm not telling you this to hold you accountable, but since you have been on a mission with Shirley, do you have any way to deal with her strike? A way? She went on strike because of her sister? That's right. Then there's no other way. I suggest you just kill her. Anyway, I can't think of where to find her sister. Although Japan is not big, it is not a big problem to hide a person. Anyway, she can't work because of the strike, so it's better to just kill her. This suggestion is a bit too rough. Yuan-shin, Shirley is talented, and the research on APTX 4869 still needs Shirley to lead. So, then I can't do it. I met her twice and went on a mission with her. We didn't say a few words in total. If you want to ask for my opinion, it's to kill her directly. I don't have any other good ideas. Of course, if you can let Gin find her sister, I think she can resume her research. Toyama Tobi said a lot, but the main idea was that this kind of trouble should not come to me. Rum felt Toyama Tobi's determination and did not force it. After telling Toyama Tobi that his authority in the intelligence database was upgraded, he hung up the phone. Toyama Tobi did not avoid Mizuno Rina when he called Rum. Although he could not hear what Rum said, he guessed a general idea from Toyama Tobi's few words. What's wrong? Shirley is on strike. She is the sister of Miyano Akimi. Toyama Tobi put away his phone and sighed irritably. You don't seem to be surprised. Rum could not see Toyama Tobi's expression, but Mizuno Rina could see it. Although Toyama Tobi said he was surprised at the time, his facial expression did not change much. In other words, Toyama Tobi should have expected Shirley to go on strike. Of course I'm not surprised. The sisters are not easy to deal with. If they are put together, they can clamp each other. But once they are separated, they are really more right than the other. Rina Mizunashi nodded ignorantly and then asked tentatively, then how will the organization treat Shirley? How to treat her? That depends on what she thinks. The research that Shirley is in charge of is very important to the organization, and it is very likely that Gin will be responsible for taking over matters related to Shirley's strike in the future. If Shirley gives in, maybe she can still survive in the organization, but if she insists on being stubborn to the end, Gin will not care whether the things you develop are important or not. As long as you go against the will of the organization, you must die in Jin's view. Toyama Tobi's words were like thunder in Mizuno Rina's heart, exploding in her heart once again. According to Toyama Tobi, if Shirley didn't give in, her life would almost be in the countdown stage. But the infiltration team that Mizuno Rina belonged to had just reached a deal with Miyano Akimi, and they were still counting on getting the core intelligence of the organization from Shirley. Now the person is about to die. Mizuno Rina knew that she would often encounter unexpected situations in her undercover career, but she never expected that such unexpected situations would emerge one after another. Mizuno Rina is like a player who specializes in multiple choice questions, and life will always put various multiple choice questions in front of her. Just like at this moment, to show her cards, or not to show her cards. This has become another difficult problem facing Mizuno Rina. Chapter 245. Gas chamber Porsche on a rainy night. I know you are anxious, but don't be anxious yet. This is the principle that Toyama Tobi treats Mizunashi Rina. He does not intend to interfere with the plot of Miyano Shaho's transformation into Habra AI. Similarly, he does not intend to let others disturb this plot, especially the CIA. Once Miyano Shaho falls into the hands of the CIA, Toyama Tobi himself has no idea how much the subsequent plot will change. Especially the CIA has never been very rule-abiding. It is hard to guarantee what kind of crazy behavior they will do after knowing the organization's research. The most important thing is that Toyama Tobi's red paint plan has not been launched yet. The so-called red paint plan is actually a disguised whitewashing, and it is not quite appropriate to say whitewashing. Toyama Tobi simply wants to put a layer of red skin on himself and want to be a fun person. The simple black party can only be happy for a while. But if you are both red and black, you can be happy forever. The main point is that you are one of our own wherever you go. At present, the Japanese Public Security Bureau, CIA, and FBI have not yet been connected, and they are all in the contact stage. During this period, Toyama Tobi couldn't let the CIA lead other intelligence agencies too much. You have to keep things fair, don't you understand? Toyama Tobi became a master at pretending to be confused. Facing the vague temptations of Mizuno Shirina, he never took them. After they left Izu and returned to Tokyo, Toyama Tobi pretended to be dead in the hotel. Anyway, there was no need to carry out the organization's tasks. Apart from pretending to be dead in the hotel, he followed the Mori family to harm people everywhere. It should be said that Toyama Tobi really found that Conan was better than Sherlock Holmes. The cases that Sherlock Holmes encountered were brought by various clients. It was different in Conan. He really died wherever he went. He could encounter a carefully planned murder case, even when he went out for a walk. The Death God Parade was really terrifying. So in Conan's Death God Parade, the much anticipated classic rainy night arrived as expected. On a rainy night after the 1.3 billion yen robbery, Toyama Tobi didn't know whether the heavy rain came earlier or later than usual. Toyama Tobi stood at the window, looking at the misty Bika town. The cell phone of the organization on the coffee table was constantly vibrating. Hello. Toyama, emergency. Shirley is missing at Hakuba Pharmaceutical. You hurry over now. Gin and vodka are on the way too. Rum's words came out like a string of cannonballs. I know, I'll be there right away. Toyama Tobi's Aston Martin made a harsh brake sound at the door of Hakuba Pharmaceutical. When he stopped the car and got out, Jin's Porsche just stopped beside him. Gin, vodka. Toyama Tobi nodded at gin and vodka, without showing any obvious hostility, but the relationship was not as close as before. Gin and vodka didn't say much. After nodding and greeting Toyama Tobi, the three of them walked towards the pharmaceutical company building together. What on earth is going on? Rum called me and told me that Shirley disappeared in Beijing Pharmaceutical. So how could a living person disappear in the organization's base? Yuan Shenfei and vodka walked side by side behind Jin. Yuan Shenfei frowned and asked vodka halfway. You know about Shirley's strike before, right? Vodka explained in a low voice. The organization handed Shirley over to Big Brother to deal with. In order to let Shirley know how powerful it is, Big Brother locked Shirley in the gas chamber of Beijing Pharmaceutical. Based on Big Brother's understanding of Shirley, she would definitely not survive more than 2 days in the gas chamber, but in the end, vodka didn't finish, but Yuan Shenfei knew what he wanted to say. He wanted to say that people disappeared in the end. Is there a surveillance camera in the gas chamber? No, but there is a surveillance camera in the corridor outside the gas chamber. It's just that, after checking the surveillance, it was found that no one has been to the gas chamber since my big brother and I left. How can a living person disappear out of thin air? Yuan Shenfei paused, looking particularly surprised. It's hard to say, vodka said vaguely. Brother suspects that Shirley's disappearance is related to Miyano Akima's disappearance. We are at the gas chamber. Vodka quickened his pace and came to Jin, opening the door of the gas chamber for his brother in advance. The gas chamber was empty, with only a pair of motionless handcuffs, as if mocking the people who hurried over. Brother, this. Although he had been notified of Shirley's disappearance, Vodka was still shocked to see the empty and locked gas chamber with his own eyes. He subconsciously looked at Jin. For him, asking Jin when he was in doubt was a routine operation. When did you find out that Shirley was missing? Jin didn't enter the gas chamber. The whole room was so small that he could see the end at a glance. What's more, there was no furniture or debris in the gas chamber at all, so there was no need to go in and check. The person in charge of Beijing Pharmaceuticals heard Jin's question and hurriedly answered. Just now, I came here and took a look. I found that there was no one in the gas chamber and reported it quickly. You said you just came to the door of the gas chamber and took a look. Yuan Shenfei suddenly found a blind spot and looked up and down at the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceuticals. He was also the man who was beaten into a pig head by him a few days ago. No one in the entire base is hanging around here. You, the person in charge of the base, don't know why. It's normal that no one comes to the gas chamber. In the organization, each family has always been responsible for their own affairs. No one likes to join in this kind of fun. What's more, Shirley was locked up by Jin. No matter how big the story is, this is also an internal conflict between the Takadas. Anyone who is sensible will not rush to join in. Then can you tell me why you came to the gas chamber? The person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceuticals stammered and couldn't open his mouth. Jin didn't waste time talking to him. He signaled to vodka, and the person in charge was taken away by the burly vodka. At this time, Toyama Tobi walked into the gas chamber and then noticed the pipe opening on the wall in the corner of the gas chamber. He lifted the cover of the pipe opening and looked back at Jin. Where does this pipe lead to? Jin's eyes condensed, and after a moment he slowly replied, it leads directly to the trash can outside the pharmaceutical company. Let's go. Toyama Tobi and Jin nodded in tacit understanding and then walked out of the medicine bottle company at the same time. It was raining harder and harder, but neither of them had an umbrella. They walked all the way to the trash can where the pipe extended, and Toyama Tobi and Jin observed at the same time. There are indeed traces of heavy objects falling, but it doesn't seem to be that heavy. Toyama Tobi frowned and analyzed, but the traces on it do show traces of someone struggling to walk. Jin took out a cigarette box and gave Toyama Tobi a cigarette, and then the two began to smoke on the spot. Chapter 246 Sister Betty thinks Jin is a bit sick. I'll go after him. Yuan Shenfei exhaled green smoke and asked Jin tentatively. Jin held the cigarette in his mouth, exhaled 2 streams of smoke from his nose and said vaguely, go and give it a try. It may not be rewarding. The rain is falling at the wrong time. Yuan Shenfei looked up, but soon lowered his head. It was a bit hard to open his eyes because of the rain. Yuan Shenfei took back his car and drove away. He would definitely not do the routine to find a non-existent person. He ran to a McDonald's and got a hamburger and apple pie as a midnight snack, and then quietly wandered around. After Yuan Shenfei left Beiju Pharmaceutical, Jin stayed there for a while and then returned to the base, took out his mobile phone and dialed a number. Hey, the busy man finally remembered to call me. This is a serious hearing of the voice before seeing the person. The seductive voice of Vermouth sounded from the mobile phone, grabbing Jin and teasing him. How to say it? It's like some men like to lure decent women into prostitution and persuade prostitutes to become good women. Some women just like to tease those cold men constantly and then kick them away after the ice is melted. It's rare that Jin took the initiative to call her during non-mission time, and Vermouth was in high spirits at the moment. Sister Betty was very interested, but Jin was not. When he heard the call was connected, Jin asked directly, is there a way to allow an untrained person to pass through a pipe that an adult could not pass through in a short time? Jin's words made Vermouth unable to do it. Sister Betty's silence was deafening. Finally, she asked Jin, have you had regular physical examinations recently? Vermouth swore that her concern would never be mixed with any other factors. She really felt that Jin needed to go to the hospital for a checkup. Of course, if he couldn't go to the hospital, he could go to the organization's base. She was good at disguise. Do you know disguise? It's the kind of disguise that mostly focuses on the face. She can also change her voice and can use her voice to change into all the sounds she has ever heard. But what Jin said is more like some kind of outrageous judo, and it is well known that judo is best practiced from a young age. A normal person who has never received professional training wants to do this in a short period of time. Vermouth thinks that Jin can consider the process of dismembering and then splicing. After getting the answer he wanted, Jin hung up the phone without saying a word, with the momentum of not recognizing anyone. After pulling up his pants, Vermouth has long been accustomed to Jin's behavior. After hanging up the phone, he poured himself a glass of wine and looked towards Tokyo with a mysterious smile. The mystic smiled mysteriously, nothing wrong with it, and it fits the character. Jin stared coldly at the lonely handcuffs in the gas chamber. Ah, Shirley. How did you, little mouse, escape? Brother, the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceutical has finished the interrogation, and there is no big problem. The reason why this guy appeared in the gas chamber is that he was angry about the embarrassment Shirley gave him a few days ago, and he was going to mock Shirley. Although Vodka said it implicitly, Jin understood it immediately. The reason why the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceutical went to the gas chamber was to make Shirley firm up her determination to fight against the organization to the end. In this way, the person in charge can use Jin's hand to kill Shirley, who embarrassed him a few days ago. Speaking of it should be Toyama Tobi who really embarrassed the person in charge. It was Toyama Tobi who slapped the person in charge's face, and it was Toyama Tobi who grabbed the person who did not receive equal treatment. But this person in charge just put all his hatred on Shirley. The reason is that he can't afford to offend Toyama Tobi. Although the probability is small, if one day this person in charge has a position that can deal with Toyama Tobi, then he will not hesitate to recall the humiliation he has suffered. This is not a gentleman's revenge is never too late, but just the most basic assessment of the situation for the survival of the organization. Vodka, go and copy all the surveillance records of the base and take them away. Since Shirley has escaped, this base cannot be used. Deal with the base. By the way, since the person in charge of Beiju Pharmaceutical is so kind-hearted, let him stay in the base. Jin made a decision quickly. In addition to sentencing the person in charge of the base to death, he also asked Vodka to hurry up and finish the cleaning of the base. Based on Jin's understanding of Shirley, it is obviously unrealistic to rely on her to escape from the organization's gas chamber alone. This means that Shirley's escape may have been assisted by external forces. So is there an inevitable connection between Miyano Akima's disappearance and Shirley's escape? Jin currently has no evidence, but his intuition tells him that there is. Intuition is based on acquired knowledge and accumulated experience, not on a natural cognitive ability that does not rely on practice or conscious logical activities, as idealists say. But the disappearance of Akemi, Miyano and Shirley, regardless of whether it is logically deduced or not, cannot be regarded as two isolated cases, because they disappeared at such a coincidental time. Jin's current judgment is that it is very likely that the person who led this matter is his old rival and old lover, Akeshuchi. In other words, Jin believes that the FBI, who was once chased by the organization, is likely to return to Japan again. FBI, I'm back again. After wandering around Biko Town and just witnessing a classic scene of a 50-year-old man picking up a white coat lolly from afar in Tochome, Toyama Tobi looked at the time. After thinking that the time was about right, Toyama Tobi called Rum. Spiritus? It's me, Rum. Shirley has been confirmed to have escaped, but I'm not sure if anyone assisted her. I'm searching for Shirley's whereabouts with Shirley as the center, but I haven't found anything. Toyama Tobi briefly reported his movements to Rum. In general, apart from knowing that Shirley had escaped, he found nothing. Rum was not surprised that Toyama Tobi had found nothing. Jin had already revealed his guess to Rum. If Shirley's escape was really caused by the FBI's intervention, then it was obvious that Toyama Tobi's search would be in vain. Now it is no longer important for the organization to find the missing Shirley. What is important is that if Shirley really falls into the hands of the FBI, how much information about the organization will she reveal to the other party? Don't worry about Shirley, Spiritus. We'll talk about her later. We have more important things to do now. Rum quickly sent a string of addresses to Yuan Shinfei. We need to meet. There are some important tasks for you to complete. The organization is about to enter a deep dormant mode. Spiritus, act quickly. I understand. Time is money. Yuan Shinfei whistled frivolously and was about to meet Rum. At this rate, he didn't know how far ahead he was of Bourbon and Keel. Chapter 247. Wow. A humanoid mobile hard drive? According to Rum's address, Toyama Tobi came to the downstairs of a company whose business seemed unclear. Inside were corporate slaves who were coming and going and working overtime. Of course, if the black organization is regarded as a company, the overtime workers there can indeed be regarded as corporate slaves. Unlike Jin, who likes to hide various bases, Rum prefers to run the bases of the intelligence team as various companies. Similar to the bases of Beiju Pharmaceutical. It sounds very reasonable to do drug research and development in a pharmaceutical company. Toyama Tobi parked the car downstairs, and the security guard at the door saluted Toyama Tobi. But from the outside, no one could imagine that this company was actually one of the bases of a criminal group. Toyama Tobi even found a receptionist in the company's lobby. Rum is really professional in running a company. He is really worthy of being a man who drives a Rolls-Royce and a Bentley. After entering the company, Toyama Tobi found that the entire company was in a state of looseness on the outside and tightness on the inside. Whether it was the hidden cameras in every corner of the lobby, or the vague sights on Toyama Tobi, they all made him sigh that it was worthy of being Rum's base. It looked much more stylish than Gin. Today was another day when Jin's B-level status was dropping like crazy. Toyama Tobi was silent in his heart. No wonder Rum was the second in command of the organization. Gin could only be considered to have some B-level status, except for Vodka and Porsche. The others were far behind Rum. People really need to learn how to package themselves and market themselves. If they market well, even if they make a documentary about weight loss for vodka, it is estimated that people will watch it. Toyama Tobi strode to the front desk of the company. "I'm SYNOPSIS. Rum asked me to come here to meet him." When the company's front desk heard Toyama Tobi report his code name, the formal little face on his face immediately became respectful. "Lord SYNOPSIS, I will contact you right away." Toyama Tobi noticed that when the front desk was using the phone to contact others, an inconspicuous camera in the corner slowly turned and pointed in his direction. Yuan Shenfei smiled and nodded in the direction of the camera. Soon the receptionist put down the phone in his hand. "Lord SYNOPSIS, please wait a moment. Someone will come to pick you up soon." Yuan Shenfei nodded, then half leaned on the countertop waiting for Rum's people to pick him up. Soon after, a woman wearing a black cardigan with a white tight-sleeved shirt, a black ribbon tied around the collar, a black knee-length skirt, and high heels of the same color walked towards Yuan Shenfei from the elevator not far away. The person who came was tall, with an oval face, short eyebrows and heterochromatic eyes, with long silver shawl hair and two long bangs on the right side. She was Rum's right-hand man Curacao. "I'm Curacao. Rum asked me to pick you up." Curacao came to Yuan Shenfei and said in a serious manner, "Okay, lead the way." Yuan Shenfei stood up, patted his butt, and followed Curacao. Soon Yuan Shenfei followed Curacao to the top floor of the building by elevator and came to a magnificent office, and Yuan Shenfei met the real Rum. To be honest, Rum still seems to be very sincere. At least he didn't use a stand-in or something like that to fool him. Of course, this is also related to the fact that Toyama Tobi has made enough pledges of allegiance. Rum looks similar to the image in the anime, with a bald head, a square face, and many wrinkles on his face, gray-white eyebrows, eyes in an inverted triangle shape, a large proportion of the white of the eye, and the left eye is a prosthetic eye. Toyama Tobi looked at Rum's prosthetic eye for a few more times, and it was obvious that this was the negative impact of the one-eyed detective. I'm afraid even Rum himself didn't expect that he would be blinded in this eye during an operation. Rum. SYNOPSIS, the two of them have been friends for a long time, and Rum has worked overtime more than once to clean up Toyama Tobi's ass for Toyama Tobi's operations. According to Rum's original plan, his method of using Toyama Tobi is actually different from Jin's. That is, unless it is a major mission, Toyama Tobi will not be deployed. Although Toyama Tobi can get himself out of trouble in time every time he does something, the subsequent impact of his actions is not ordinary. Robbed the arsenal, blew up the building, and almost took away all the upper echelons of the Suzuki faction. Inexplicably, Toyama Tobi actually began to move towards the nuclear deterrence direction of the organization. What did that say? If the enemy does not use nuclear weapons, we will not send Toyama Tobi. But plans cannot keep up with changes after all, especially now that Shirley is likely to fall into the hands of the FBI. This is a major crisis for the organization. Since the organization has encountered a major crisis, Rum will naturally not have so many concerns. He immediately decided to activate Toyama Tobi. Let's not talk nonsense. Because of Shirley's disappearance, the organization is about to enter a deep dormant period, which means that the organization needs to cut off some tentacles that may implicate the organization. I don't feel at ease if I leave this task to others, so I can only leave it to you, Toyama. Rum's opening words are like an old pie in the sky man. Anyone who has less experience in being pie in the sky will be fooled by Rum. Toyama Tobi thought about Binga who wanted to step on Jin to get to the top later. Do you think there is no influence from Rum? Okay, what do you need me to do? Yuan Shenfei expressed his attitude without saying anything. Although Brother Rum is good at making promises, he also really gives them to eat. A leader who can put big promises into practice is a good leader, better than those bastards who only make empty promises, right? I have a list here. These people have some relationship with the organization, but not too deep. But if the FBI follows their investigation, it is very likely to find people in the organization. I need you to get rid of them one by one. Most of the people on Rum's list are people that the organization is contacting. Some have just started contacting, and some have had some contact. But in the final analysis, these people have not yet boarded the big ship of the organization. In normal times, as long as they slowly contact them, one day these people will be pulled into the water by the organization. Those who cannot be pulled into the water and know the existence of the organization can only be killed. But Shirley's escape interrupted the rhythm of the organization, and the organization, which is about to enter a deep dormant period, can only bear the pain and clear all these people. These people are the tentacles of the organization's outward extension of influence. These tentacles cannot be retracted for a while due to various reasons, so they can only be killed with great pain. No problem, just leave it to me. Where is the list? Yuan Shenfei still agreed. Yuan Shenfei can't bargain here at this time. Don't look at how much Rum trusts Yuan Shenfei at this moment. If he dares to show the slightest hesitation at this time, Rum will have to be suspicious as much as he trusts him. In terms of suspicion, both Rum and Jin are of the same origin. The whole list is in Kuroso's mind. Kuroso will be your new partner for this mission. This mission is very important to the organization. For the time being, Keel will continue to let her lurk in the Nichiren TV station. Chapter 248 He lives like Jin. Obviously, cadres who have not passed the organizational ability test and loyalty test cannot be involved in such tasks involving the core of the organization. After expressing his regret to Rina Mizunashi in his heart, Toyama Tobi nodded friendly to Kuroso beside him. Rum's arrangement really won Toyama Tobi's heart. This is right. He, Toyama Tobi, is a loyal minister of the organization. Since he is a loyal minister, he naturally has the obligation to help the superiors, to be close to the wise, and stay away from the villains. Whether it is Rina Mizunashi or Toru Amuro, from the perspective of the organization, aren't they all scoundrels? As for Kuroso, at the first sight of Kuroso, Toyama Tobi has begun to think about how to dig into Rum's corner. Hey, second brother, your subordinates are really useful. They will be mine in the future. Although Toyama Tobi cannot confirm whether his journey through time is a fixed time travel or an infinite flow time travel. But from the system so far, there has been no prompt for another time travel, and the possibility of a short-term infinite flow time travel has been denied by Toyama Tobi. Whether it is a fixed time, to cross to the Conan world, or to continue crossing, after completing the main mission of the entire world, Toyama Tobi needs to make long-term plans. Even if Toyama Tobi can get in touch with the CIA, FBI, and Japanese public security in the early stage, and become a cooperative relationship, it is not necessarily guaranteed that the two sides can cooperate happily until the end of the plot. Mizunashi, Rina and Amuro Toru cannot always stay in the organization. As their status in the organization rises, Toyama Tobi's importance in the eyes of the intelligence agency will gradually decline. In the end, it may become a matter of either joining or becoming an enemy. At this time, Toyama Tobi needs to have enough voice and power in the organization. He must always maintain his own strength before the black organization is completely destroyed, so that the three intelligence agencies can keep a cautious attitude. In other words, Toyama Tobi has people and guns. If you don't want to cooperate well, I will send you out and turn to find others to cooperate. At least before the black organization is destroyed, Toyama Tobi can easily deal with the three forces. As for the collapse of the black organization, Toyama Tobi can sell out the eldest brother and the second brother. If that doesn't work, there is a boss waiting for Toyama Tobi to sell out. History tells us that, as long as the team is not wrong, there are always more solutions and problems. Another thing is that in a place where even the judiciary can make transactions, there is nothing that cannot be traded. The scale of the black organization that has been diligently developing and growing for many years is the capital used by Toyama Tobi for transactions. Everything is a business, starting from poaching the second brother's wall. It is a big deal for the organization to enter a deep dormant period. As the second in command, Rum takes charge of the overall situation of the organization in the absence of Karasuma and Aya. Suddenly preparing to enter a deep dormant period, Rum is also busy with a lot of things. After chatting with Toyama Tobi for a few words, expressing his appreciation, and drawing a few big cakes, he let Toyama Tobi leave the office. Toyama Tobi came alone when he came, and took Kuroso with him when he left. This trip to Rum's stronghold was worthwhile. Since you have the list, do you have any suggestions for the cleanup targets? In the parking lot, Toyama Tobi changed to a not very eye-catching car, and asked Kuroso, who was sitting on the passenger seat. Dashan Jiang, a professor of the first surgery department of the School of Medicine of Taodao University, published a paper titled Research on Genetic Therapy of Colorectal Cancer some time ago, which was widely praised. But according to internal intelligence, this paper was not written by him, but he robbed the research results of his students. The organization sent people to contact Dashan Jiang and his students at the same time, and only Dashan Jiang responded. At present, Dashan Jiang has initially planned to accept the organization's invitation and become a member of the scientific research team to provide the organization with corresponding resources. But there are still some specific conditions that have not been negotiated. Toyama Tobi and Kuroso are responsible for cleaning up almost this kind of people, because these people have the handle in the hands of the organization. They have contacted the organization actively or passively, know the existence of the organization, and have a preliminary understanding of the organization. But because of objective factors at the moment, they did not officially join the organization, including but not limited to the treatment of joining the organization was not negotiated, and they felt that they could still struggle a little longer, and they instinctively remained vigilant against the organization. Dashan Jiang belongs to the first of the three. For a person like Dashan Jiang, it doesn't matter what organization he joins, and it doesn't matter whether anyone has something on him. The main thing is whether it can bring him enough benefits. His student wrote a very remarkable paper. Although he had a good relationship with this student on weekdays, he took the paper without hesitation and published it first, and didn't even sign his student's name. Similarly, the organization came to him with evidence of his thesis snatching, but he didn't care at all. What he cares about is what benefits he can get from joining the organization. Rather than saying that Dashan Jiang is a scholar, it's better to say that he is more like a businessman. Since he is a businessman, he will naturally bargain. It is impossible for the organization to agree to all the conditions proposed by Dashan Jiang, so Dashan Jiang's progress in joining the organization was stuck halfway. If it weren't for Shirley's incident, it wouldn't take long for the organization to reach an agreement with Dashan Jiang. Dashan Jiang will also use his resources and connections to accelerate the organization's research on drug A. Unfortunately, now that Shirley had escaped, the organization, which was about to enter a dormant period, had no patience to fight with Oyama. Oyama was included in the list of people who needed to be cleared, and he was at the top of the list. Where is he? He will drive to the Niba ski resort in Niigata Prefecture tonight. The intelligence team has been monitoring Oyama's movements. Well, let the intelligence team report Oyama's location in real time and find a place without surveillance on the way to kill him. Okay, I'll contact them right away. Kuroso started to contact the members of the organization who were monitoring Oyama, and Toyama Tobi started the car and drove to Niigata Prefecture. On a narrow mountain road on the way, Toyama Tobi parked the car across the middle of the road. When Oyama was blocked on the mountain road, Toyama Tobi and Kuroso simultaneously pulled out their pistols and shot at Oyama in the car. The front windshield of Oyama's car was shattered, and he could only breathe out, but not in the main car. Toyama Tobi walked up to him and fired 2 more shots at his head, then got back in the car and drove away quickly. In just one night, Toyama Tobi killed 4 targets on the list, and his workload far exceeded that of Jin. When the sky turned pale, Toyama Tobi and Kuroso stopped their crazy assassination all night. It was not a good time to carry out assassination missions because there were too many people and eyes during the day. So they went home to rest and conserve their energy for the next night's work. Chapter 249. Rice flour hanchen. Sleeping quickly and recovering energy quickly are essential skills for every black organization cadre. Because you never know what the next mission will be, how long it will last, and you don't even know where you will go for the next mission. So it is necessary to replenish energy whenever you can, especially when one of your top bosses is impatient and the other is a workaholic. After a long sleep, it was already afternoon. When Yuan Shenfei woke up, he found that Kuroso seemed to have been ready to continue the mission. Staring at the ML on his mobile phone, Yuan Shenfei fell into deep thought. Kuroso, what kind of an 8-oxen horse holy body is this? Yuan Shenfei took a beautiful bath in the bathroom of the suite and had a breakfast in the hotel restaurant. Finally, he smoked a cigarette in the corner of the parking lot and went to Kuroso downstairs to pick her up. I said, Kuroso, I'm suddenly a little curious about what you do when you don't have a mission. Yuan Shenfei asked Kuroso curiously. Prepare for a mission. Kuroso replied calmly. Besides completing tasks, you are preparing to complete tasks? I mean your personal time. That kind of tools don't need personal time. There are very few cadres in the organization who are keen on completing tasks or working hard. Conan will guest star as a silent bartender when there is no task. Amuro Toru will work like crazy when there is no task, challenging his part-time limit. Vodka will personally grow some broccoli for his elder brother when there is no task. It is said that eating broccoli is better for the body. Gin is probably the only one who does tasks seriously and works hard to contribute to the organization. Under this kind of work intensity, the things that Gin will touch in his mouth on weekdays are cigarettes and alcohol. Otherwise, why is it said that there are more than one little Superman per capita in the Conan world? With Jin's method of making, he can still work overtime every day. The physical fitness of the residents of this ghost place is really great. Wait, from this point of view, there are not many people with innate cattle and horse holy bodies in this land of Mela. No wonder this place is a paradise for capitalists and presidents, and no wonder this place has become a real paradise for presidents. These cattle and horses are exploited too much, and they will kick their butts occasionally, especially the cattle and horses in Beaker Town, which are wild and unruly. If you don't pay attention, you will have to pay off a president. Like the original Akimi Miyano, Kuroso is still trapped in the darkness and has never seen the light. Yuan Shenfei notes that it is useless to say anything to Kuroso now. Kuroso's rationality, which has been strictly trained by Rum, suppresses her nature. Cold and ruthless, loyal and faithful is the best portrayal of her at this moment. But Kuroso is also like Akimi Miyano. Once she really sees the light, she will turn into a moth flying into the fire. Even if the raging fire has swallowed her whole body, they will chase the light until they die. There are some differences between these two people. The biggest difference is that Kuroso is not as easy to deceive as Akimi Miyano. Toyama Tobi felt embarrassed for Ina Mizuno and her gang at the CIA. After they captured Akimi Miyano, all they could do was to use Shihomi Miyano to control Akimi Miyano, just like the organization did, and then use Akimi Miyano to contain Shihomi Miyano. Akimi Miyano alone was of no value to the CIA people. She was not even as useful as Rina Mizuno. After all, Rina Mizuno was still in the organization and had a code name. If she tried hard, she could still find out some intelligence about the organization. But apart from her sister, Akimi Miyano's most important intelligence was the intelligence of her leader Toyama Tobi. But Rina Mizuno was Toyama Tobi's partner, and the intelligence about Toyama Tobi was probably already on her superior's desk. Now Shihomi Miyano has mysteriously disappeared, and Akimi Miyano's role to the CIA people cannot be said to be almost non-existent, but it is simply useless. But they couldn't just release Akimi Miyano. If Akimi Miyano was caught by the organization after being released, wouldn't their CIA be exposed? The organization might even follow the clues and suspect Rina Mizuno. The CIA would definitely not do such a loss-making deal. That would not be worth the loss. But if they didn't release her, would they just keep Akimi Miyano? Although the situation of the Honda infiltration team has improved a lot recently, the money that Akimi Miyano robbed can fully allow them to afford a burden who eats 3 meals. But doing a loss-making deal is not the style of the CIA. If they are forced to pay unjust money due to some objective factors, they can still accept it. This kind of business that you know before doing it will definitely lose money is even more uncomfortable than killing them. They can't commit suicide, so they can only consider killing Akemi Miyano directly and framing her. But they are not willing to do this. This group of people who caught the toad and squeezed the urine out of it are not willing to give up the chips they have finally got. Although Miyano Shaho and the others can't wait any longer, there is still the FBI. They are old rivals and they know each other very well. The CIA won't believe that a failed mission will make the FBI give up. Miyano Akemi's ex-boyfriend is the trump card of the FBI's frontline action team. The kind of trump card that the CIA will envy. Although the American atmosphere has always been free and open, Shuchiake may not have any real feelings for Miyano Akemi. But what if Shuchiake of the FBI likes this? With this expectation, Miyano Akemi's days in the CIA safe house are not too difficult. Miyano Akemi officially entered standby mode, and Kuroso is still running the organization's rough system. After taking a look at the time, and finding that it was still early for the sun to set, Toyama Tobi asked Kuroso, "Tell me about the next mission target." Soe Manabu, a 4th-year student in the Faculty of Literature at Toudou University, president of the Reasoning Research Society. He is one of the targets that the organization is contacting at Toudou University. College student? Why does the organization contact college students? Has this kid committed a crime? Good man, the organization is really not picky. Even if the person being contacted is a professor at Toudou University, Toyama Tobi would not find it strange. But contacting students, is that too outrageous? Most graduates of the Faculty of Literature at the University of Tokyo go to work in publishing houses, newspapers, television stations, advertising companies, universities, or government departments. The organization needs to train some of its own people to enter politics. Those who are coerced or bought cannot be regarded as real people. Only talents trained by the organization can make Rum feel at ease. Kuroso answered all of Toyama Tobi's questions, and I think Rum's instructions were also involved. But why does this plot seem a little familiar? Is that you, Mahahanshin? Chapter 250. Partners are like this, either live together or die together. The target should not be in this direction now. Just as Toyama Tobi drove the car to Bikacho to Chome, Kuroso reminded him that he was driving in the wrong direction. The Toudou University they were going to was not in the direction of Bikacho. The organization's experts in charge of surveillance operations can only be said to be sufficient, but far from abundant. Therefore, the selection of surveillance targets is still very cautious. For example, Oyama Masaru, who is the first professor of surgery at the School of Medicine of Toudou University, can be treated as a 24-hour uninterrupted surveillance by the organization. But this student named Soe Manabu obviously cannot reach this status, so the organization's intelligence database only has some general information about Soe Manabu. Where exactly this person is now, Toyama Tobi and Kuroso need to investigate it themselves. Fortunately, Kuroso is very good at such investigations. If he resigns from the black organization, it will not be a problem for him to become a famous detective. I know the direction is wrong, but all roads lead to Rome. It just so happens that I'm going to go somewhere by the way. Toyama Tobi drove the car to Bikacho to Chome 21, and the original ruins of Kudo's house had been cleared. The construction team responsible for building the house has also entered the site, and is working hard. Toyama Tobi looked at the Kudo house, which was no longer a ruin, and felt quite emotional. My teacher, the world-renowned architect, Moriarty chose to end his life in this place. Until the last moment of his life, my teacher tried his best to distance himself from me and him in an attempt to keep my innocence. Although he was not a very good person, I have to say that he was really good to his students. Toyama Tobi looked nostalgic. Moriarty was the one who really taught him knowledge, not to mention that he also gave Toyama Tobi his own characteristics. The characteristics awarded by Moriarty gave Toyama Tobi the temperament of a scholar, and this temperament also made Toyama Tobi less threatening in the eyes of others. Otherwise, with the colleagues around Toyama Tobi, gin, vodka, Conan, Chianti, I'm afraid Toyama Tobi's temperament would have been distorted a long time ago. It is estimated that he has the temperament that you can't see, that he is a good person. When walking on the street, the patrol police passing by will have to look at Toyama Tobi twice. Once they look at each other, they will have to conduct a surprise inspection. As the saying goes, a red plum is red, and a black plum is black. The influence of being in the organization for a long time can be imagined. Among them, Ake Shuchi is the best example. Don't you see that Ake was in the organization in the early stage of the anime, and returned to the FBI in the later stage? The same person has two completely different images. Bushi. Just look at this thing. Can you say he is a good person? As far as I know, Professor Moritani can fall into such a situation. It should be all thanks to you, a good student, Spiritus. Whether it is the robbery of the Toyo arsenal or the bombing of the Kudo house that happened here. Kuroso complained expressionlessly. His tone was serious, and his eyes were determined to join the party. Hearing this, Yuan-chan nephew, I almost didn't react. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's the same as a student helping a teacher to be against the world, and it's the same as a fan helping an idol to be against the world. Besides, I'm afraid that the teacher will treat me as his partner in the future. After all, partners should either live together or die together. My teacher Moritani is too suicidal, so I, as a student, only slightly gave him a ride. Toyama Tobi said that Kuroso had a big misunderstanding of him. As the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Isn't the first thing a student should do, after becoming an apprentice, to kill his teacher? That's how Naruto is drawn. Just when Toyama Tobi was about to correct Kuroso's concept, a female college student hesitantly walked to the door of Kudo's house, and looked at the bustling construction site inside in surprise. Huh. A pretty girl. Toyama Tobi was very satisfied that he could travel to the two-dimensional world. The number of beauties in the two-dimensional world is really huge. It's just like the idol drama world with handsome men and beautiful women. When Yuan Shinfen's eyes were attracted by the beautiful girl outside the car window, the co-pilot Kuroso stared at the beautiful girl and said, Uchida Asami, a freshman in the Faculty of Literature of Toudou University. She was selected as Miss Toudou in her freshman year. Her novel won the Rookie Award. She is a member of the Reasoning Research Society of Toudou University, and also the object of admiration of Manabu Soe. Kuroso lived up to the nickname of the human-shaped hard drive. After observing for a moment, he found the information of this beautiful girl from his memory. Originally, the organization also sent someone to contact her tentatively, but unfortunately, the person sent was decisively rejected by her. Obviously, although they are both the pride of Toudou University, Uchida Asami, who was selected as Miss Toudou in her freshman year and won the Rookie Award for her novel, has a potential that is not comparable to Manabu Soe. But because she is good enough, she has enough choices. There is no need to get on the pirate ship of the organization. After hearing the information from Kuroso, Toyama Tobi laughed. Isn't this a coincidence? With the senior Asami whose head is still alive, why do they need to go to Toudou University to get the location of Soe Manabu? After being with Xiaolan for a long time, luck has indeed become better. When he wants to complete the mission, the information can't stop coming to him. This is called the time when heaven and earth are on the same side. Don't move around here. I'm going to go down and get some information. After throwing an ethical stalk to Kuroso, Toyama Tobi opened the door, got out of the car, and walked to Uchida Asami's side. My classmate, are you here to look for Shinichi? Ah, yes. May I ask who you are? Uchida Asami, who was originally a little absent-minded, was startled by Toyama Tobi's voice. After coming to her senses, she hurriedly bowed to Toyama Tobi. I'm a friend of Shinichi's father, and I'm here to help him with the reconstruction of Kudo House. Toyama Tobi said without changing his expression, and directly raised his back up. Oh, by the way, my last name is Toyama. Mr. Toyama, it's our first meeting. Please take care of me. Uchida Asami bowed to Toyama Tobi again according to Japanese etiquette, which made Toyama Tobi's head hurt. Is this pretty girl cosplaying as a tumbler? Although they are all in Japan, this aspect of the organization is very good. There is no such messy etiquette at all, let alone Jin. If someone dares to ask Jin to bow when he speaks, Jin will probably break the waist of the person who made the request with a gun. After some formalities, Uchida Asami asked Toyama Tobi curiously, "Mr. Toyama, what happened to Kudo's house?" "Huh, don't you know? Because of the involvement of Kudo's case, a criminal chose this place as his burial place. Surrounded by the Metropolitan Police Department police, he died together with the Kudo house." Hearing Toyama Tobi's answer, Uchida Asami's eyes gradually became strange. She had heard a lot about people being dragged to die together, but to die together with a house. Even if she was a novelist, she couldn't come up with such an outrageous idea. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.